in its nuclear program. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein dismissing any threat of impeachment.
There have been people who have been making threats privately and publicly against me for quite some time, and I think they should understand by now the Department of Justice is not going to be extorted.
This after members of the House Freedom Caucus drafted potential articles of impeachment as a possible last resort. They accused the Justice Department of slow-walking efforts by lawmakers to track down information in the Russia probe. The White House says progress in trade talks is what led to a 30-day delay on new steel and aluminum tariffs for Canada, Mexico, and the European Union, which wants a permanent exemption already granted to several countries, including Australia. Renewed trade concern, part of what's blamed for a sell-off earlier on Wall Street. But at the closing bell, much of the loss has been shaved. The Dow down 66 points. Dating sites taking a hit after Facebook announced new dating features. Match Group, the owner of Match.com, Tinder, and others, falling over 20%. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
Warmer weather means bug season and the diseases they can carry.
2 years ago, much of the world was gripped by the fear of Zika, carried by mosquito, which could cause birth defects. But insects that bite carry a number of different viruses, and if it seems more prevalent, it is.
Mosquitoes and ticks and infections are moving into new areas nationwide.
Dr. Robert Redfield is the director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control.
A traveler can get infected from a mosquito-borne disease like Zika in one country and then return home now infected, which then puts other people at risk.
Redfield adds repellent is still a good idea. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Some Catholic high school students in Michigan may be forced to cover their prom dresses with what's being called a modesty poncho.
Female students at Divine Child High School in Dearborn, preparing for prom next week, are being warned if dresses don't meet the school's formal dance dress requirements, no problem.
You will be given a poncho at the door,
which the student calls a form of shaming.
The school has gone very far with this.
Though a policy that school administrators say focuses on inner beauty.
And not draw attention to something that doesn't really need to have attention drawn to it.
The school says parents aren't complaining about the dress guidelines, which it also notes parents and students have already signed off on. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
After sparking a social media craze with limited edition drinks, Starbucks is adding its first 2 new permanent Frappuccino flavors in 16 years. Ultra Caramel and Triple Mocha, both made with a new kind of whipped cream that can also be added to any other beverages. This as the company prepares to close all 8,000 locations for one day later this month for racial sensitivity training after the controversial arrests of 2 black customers in Philadelphia last month. Again, on Wall Street, the Dow down more than 60 points, but the S&P and the NASDAQ finish higher. Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter, so all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle K's. Circle K, take it easy.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
The smartphone super sale event is back at GTA. We're dropping our prices on our most popular smartphones, including the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 and the latest Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. Hurry in and save up to 60% off. These amazing deals won't last long, so come in and see us today. Conditions apply. Visit GTA.net for details. Offer ends May 31st. GTA, your island, your network.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio denying allegations that he played any role in the arrest of Troy Torres, a former senior aide in the Calvo Tenorio administration. There is no factual basis to any of the claims, said Tenorio. Torres is the former communications director for Governor Eddie Calvo and most recently served as the gubernatorial campaign manager for Democratic Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. Torres called members of the media to his home Monday night in the wake of his Friday arrest on suspicion of possessing and distributing methamphetamine, among other allegations. Torres denied those drug allegations against him and said that the officer in charge of his interrogation admitted that he let him go because there was no evidence he participated in a crime. Torres said he was told by the officer who released him that the Mandana Drug Task Force didn't want to arrest him, but the chief of police, Joseph Cruz, and the lieutenant governor decided otherwise, according to Torres. When asked about the allegations, the lieutenant governor said he had nothing to do with Torres's arrest and said he would never ask any officer to do anything outside the law. He called Torres an intelligent, talented man who did an exceptional job at the governor's office, and he hopes Torres is able to find his way past this chapter in his life. Torres was released Saturday on a 3-year notice to appear. He has not been formally charged. Not even a day on the job, and acting Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency Director Eric Palacios has found himself on the defensive. An anonymous email circulated among the media yesterday questioning Palacios' fitness for the position, alleging he returned to Guam from the Philippines on March 27th with so-called butterfly knives, which are barred by federal law and were seized from him at the airport, and that he later contacted the former customs chief to demand the knives be returned to him. Palacios, in a statement yesterday issued by Customs spokesperson Jesse Santos, confirmed that he brought a set of butterfly knives to Guam from the Philippines and explained that they were a gift from his brother-in-law. Palacios acknowledged that he later made contact with Customs officials through the proper channels to ask about the knives, but when he learned that the items were federally regulated, he took no further action. The knives remain in the Customs property office until they are properly destroyed. We'll have more news after this.
How about when we lend you money for your home, we pay for your appraisal? That's right. When we make you a loan, we'll pay for the actual cost of your standard appraisal up to $1,500. Add that to our super low rates, and you'll see why so many people are coming to Bank Pacific for their home loan. So join them by joining us, Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Department of Land Management Director Michael Borja has instructed his staff to disclose any immediate familial relationships that may have Chamorro Land Trust Commission lease applicants by submitting a declaration in the applicant's file. Borja issued the instruction after learning that some land management employees and their relatives were issued $1 annual land leases for 99 years to highly desirable lots in Barrigada Heights. Borja has said he was unaware that his sister and the land administrator's daughter were among those approved for leases, but he pointed out that his sister and the others were qualified, and he's been open and hasn't withheld any information about the leases. But in the future, he told the Guam Daily Post, he wants to see a declaration from land management employees in the folders of their relatives seeking leases so that he and all future land management directors can see the relationship before they sign off on the lease. A bill transferring procurement authority for the reconstruction of Simon Sanchez High School from the Department of Public Works to the Guam Department of Education sailed through the legislature yesterday, winning easy passage by a unanimous vote of 14-0. Lawmakers approved the measure despite a last-minute note of caution from Senator Jim Espaldon, who warned the body that legal counsel had advised him that passage of Bill 204 could lead to another legal challenge. It's prudent as lawmakers when we pass legislation that we know all the implications, said the senator, because if we don't, it might raise some legal issues that would then cause us to have to expend more money to defend the law. The bill's sponsor, Senator Frank Uggan Jr., responded that those concerns were raised and answered during the 2.5 days spent in debate on the measure last week. He cited a similar piece of legislation passed during a procurement protest which was implemented without issue. Uggan asked for the vote on Bill 204 to go forward, and Espaldon joined his colleagues in voting for it. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray now with some weather.
What have we got here today? Partly cloudy skies, some isolated showers in the forecast. Winds out of the east up to about 20 miles an hour, decreasing a bit overnight. Highs around 89 degrees and overnight lows of about 78 degrees. I'm tired of reading the same weather forecast every single day. Michael, when is it going to change? Look at the map. Tell me there's change in the forecast.
When it changes, you'll wish that you were reading the same old boring forecast. So.
Really?
Not much going to change. Got a big blob of stuff down south. That's not actually being designated as anything, but I think that's going to change by the end of the day.
I think blob is good. I think that's
blob
a good technical
is fine.
name.
Yeah, that's a technical term, by the way. But as you can see there, right over us, nothing but just trade winds, scattered cumulus, and it should stay that way. We were, again, as I mentioned yesterday, the rain that fell, we were kind of on the outer fringes of this mess, and it kind of sunk down to the south now. It's been pushed down south, so should have a pretty good day today.
Yeah, had a couple of good showers last night.
It was good, and a good refreshing rain through most of the day yesterday.
Gully washers. Good. All right, so sunset tonight, 6:36. Sunrise tomorrow morning will be about 5:59, maybe 5:58 when the sun finally breaks the plain. That's news and weather together here on The Point, brought to you by our friends over at Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Gotcha. The Ray Gibson Show brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. Always open, always local. I don't even know why they put locks on the doors there. The place always open. It's King's Restaurant.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now?
There are so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
This portion of the program brought to you by Security Title, making sure you actually own the property you think you just bought.
Do you suffer from eye strain? If you work at a computer, follow the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds to reduce eye fatigue. Ensure you have the optimal prescription for your contact lenses and glasses. Early stages of common eye diseases typically have no symptoms and can only be detected with a comprehensive dilated eye exam. Call Lombard Health today to book an appointment at 989-4747. Guam's best eye care, one patient at a time.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Yeah, you seen that scene in Scarface? You know, after what's his name, Patino finishes up with the drug dealer down there, and he takes a big sniff and he starts to put everything. Gotta get organized. Yeah, puts the phone back in place. That's what I feel like right now.
Yeah. Without the cocaine.
Without the cocaine.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I am. Anything showing there? Hey, welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It is the Ray Gibson Show here on the Point 93.3. I would be Ray Gibson, and another amazing newscast from Kevin Kerrigan and the Guam Daily Post, and weather information as well as button pushing and etc. with Michael Knight, the man with the voice out there. It's great to have you there and your incredible technical skills. And as I like to start the program every single day, just shouts to everybody that is joining us early on the Facebook Live. Andre Bainham, who's got something to celebrate this morning. I see Mark Mandiola, who's got something to celebrate this morning, and we'll talk about that. Jan Mabini is there listening from way off island, and an interesting post that she has today in her Facebook feed herself, Sahara J. Defensor. Bob Camacho, Hafalai, good to see you. Tim Rohr is praying for all of us and putting his little catechism touch on the program today. Big Sister Shelley at Pop's house. Carl and Jerry Gutierrez, good to have you there. James Howard, Amanda Shelton. Should I say future Senator Amanda Shelton? Is it too early for that? You know, gauging on the sign of some of the sizes that I've seen here that Amanda has put out there on the streets, I can tell she's very serious about wanting this job. Let me see, Andrew Santos Tairenko. There's other Sister Monasilva's in there. Letty Lujan, Hoffa Pretty. Deborah Wise, Juanita, and there's more that's going to be joining. So you just make some room here for some of the other people. That's a great thing about these little rooms that you can put together on Facebook is there is no limit to the number of people that can join us. But it's great to have you here. Looking forward to some of the comments on some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. But I'd like to start the program, if it's possible, with a little bit of how do I want to say this? With the whole Troy thing. And there seems to have been a flurry of statements, right? The first statement came out after the arrest from Dennis Rodriguez, right? And so he came out with a statement, and then there was a statement from the governor's office almost immediately after the
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday after the what am I calling it? The State of the Island or State of the Troy address. That was delivered. So here's the thing, and anybody knows me knows I'm not perfect and fully capable of making some pretty big mistakes in my life. So, no, it's true. It's true. I'm just saying. And so here's what I'd like you to do. People on Facebook, Governor Tenorio, boy, and anybody else that's listening, here's what I'd like you to do for me now is if you could have a statement ready for something that I may or may not commit in the future. I think that would be something
I
important.
have several, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You've
I'm your
already-
producer. What?
So here's
the State of Ray address.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking it would be good, Senator Rodriguez, Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio, if something were to happen to me, that you had a statement at the ready, and like these generic ones here that were pushed out over the weekend. While we're not aware of the full see, this could work out, right? While we're not aware of the full circumstances of his arrest, we respect due process, and we'll let the matter take its course. We pray for him and his family in this difficult time.
The short version of that is we don't know what happened, and he's pretty much on his own.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not driving the bus over him just yet. I'm just saying. So that's a good generic one that could work for me at almost any time. While we are not aware of the full circumstances of his arrest. Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio, I got one that's, I think it's a little bit more sincere. I am really sorry. I hope he makes it well, and pray for my friend. In this case, he says Troy, but I pray for my friend Ray because he's a great guy. Right?
There you go.
Nice, short, simple, to the sweet, underscores. I really hope he makes I pray for my friend.
What more can we do?
Friends, if you could, start working on the statement that you would give to Kevin Kerrigan or any other member of the press should something happen and I go south real fast. I'm just, it's nice to have that kind of preparation in place. Just keep it in a card in the back pocket. Oh, he really was busted? Oh, this is what I got to say about my friend Ray. Could you start working on that statement for me right now? 6:21. That's a sort of an appropriate place to start the conversation today, the talk show, or is it? I don't know. There's plenty of that. I don't think we're completely wrung out on that story. Yesterday, in between the State of the Judicial address that was provided by Judge Merriman over at the legislature, and the almost predictable lines that she had. It was easy to predict because I had the other Chief Justice on the radio yesterday and said, "What is she going to talk about? Money? They're going to talk about money." Because the legislature, not the legislature, but the judiciary, co-equal, third branch of government, continues to get shorted on their allotments. They're doing more with less, but they feel that there's really no grounds for that kind of thing. So maybe they got to come through and send that message a little bit louder, a little bit clearer from the bully pulpit that they were treated to yesterday. So you get some, but in between that and then the number of veto-proof bills that were passed over at the legislature yesterday. Kevin, it says, from the Guam Daily Post, you might know him, this found Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio. And the headline on today's Daily Post reads, "Tenorio dismisses former aide's corruption allegations." Really? Is there anybody surprised by that? Now, were you expecting, Kevin, when you sat down with Ray, were you expecting him to go, "Yep, it's all true"?
No surprise there.
Whatever Troy said, he's got me in a box. What can I say? Where do we go from here? Put me in the handcuffs. You know what? I'll call the FBI myself and ask Ray Gibson to issue a statement for me. What would the statement be? I pray for my friend Ray and for everything that he's going through now. Should probably make that a little bit longer, huh? Sorry, kind of hyper this morning because, I don't know, it's one. Can I tell you why? Let me give you another reason why a little bit hyper today. I did an event for them last year, 76 Circle K. It's a celebrity waiter thing. And I wasn't the celebrity waiter. I was the host of it. The idea is that, there's a whole bunch of tables that get sold, and then you get these celebrity waiters out there, and they got to go and by virtue of their great service to all of the people at their tables, the people make a tip, and the tip goes to 76 Circle K, and then they give that to the folks behind Relay for Life, the Cancer Society. So it's one of my favorite events. Had such a great time last year, and they invited me back to do it again tonight. So that's the other warning I'm going to give you is I'm all hyper and excited about doing it tonight, but I imagine I'm probably going to be up a little bit late tonight, so we'll start slow tomorrow. I'll just tell you that right now. It'll be a slow start into the Thursday version of the Ray Gibson Show. Items on the table of contents beyond just being able to have statements at the ready should I do something. Oh, Ken Leon Guerrero. Hey, Ken Leon Guerrero, you're on the list this morning. You're one of the guys that I need to talk to. The governor the current governor, Eddie Jerome Baza-Calvo, has got an editorial on the Tran bill, and that was the controversy before I got on the air, right? It was when by the time we started doing the morning show, it was the beginning of the fiscal crisis, the end of the hospital crisis, and then before that was the bloody fight over the Tran bill.
Too many crises,
right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I remember that Ken was doing a lot of conversation about that, and so I'm listening to him in talk radio and wanting to know a little bit more. And personally, my favorite parts were when Ken was on the air and Lester would be on at the same time. Right. Those were good times. You know, the agree to disagree, that friendly kind of I pray for you, my friend, I don't know why you're arrested kind of thing. Anyway, so 625 that may come up here at some point today.
Am I the only person that when I hear the word Tran bill, I think of gender equality? That's the first thing that pops in my mind. I'm just saying.
I don't think so. You're the first one that will admit it, in a microphone and publicly. But I'm the same. I look at that and go, okay, that's a fiscal thing, right? Anyway, so we'll also spend some time talking about the bills that were passed over at the legislature yesterday. Some really, really interesting stuff, and the majority of them, as I say, kind of veto-proof. As I mentioned, Andre Bainham's there, and Mark Mandiola is there. Maybe we'll get caught up with John Fernandez, who it looks like, if the governor takes positive action on this, and I don't know why he wouldn't. Like I said, it's passed unanimously over at the legislature, the idea that they are going to foist the procurement for the fixes that John F. Kennedy, there's another controversy, Simon Sanchez, back to the Department of Education. So we'll Mike could spend some time on that. But the very interesting story, and it's nice because now that we have the Derek Hill story fading from the front pages, and I think the Troy Torres story is going to fade a little bit from the front page, it has been replaced now with Eric Palacios, the guy who is now supposed to be heading customs and quarantine at the Guam International Airport, who apparently had a situation with them prior to him getting that job.
We'll have to look up a butterfly knife. I'm not sure.
You don't know it's a butterfly knife?
That's one of those martial arts knives that you flip open. It has its hinge, so you do a couple of motions, you pop it, and you can open it.
So maybe you know it from the
colloquial name.
You
you can buy them in the States. I've seen them.
I've got one, but I guess the thing is you can't bring them through the airport.
Yeah, you can't transport them internationally.
Well, I don't know what the rules are. Apparently Eric didn't either. But the colloquial term for them is balisson. Okay. So it's a balisson knife or butterfly knife, and it's one of those things that you can really hurt yourself with.
Yes, you can.
You can really hurt yourself. But once you learn how to open and close it, and do the little figure eight things with your hands, you get pretty proficient at that, and can actually look like the guys in the movies that play around with these balisson knives. I don't think that there's anything inherently bad about them. I guess once upon a time they decided that we didn't like any kind of knife that you can open with gravity. You got to take a step. Use the thumb little thing to open it up. But that's the deal on that one. And he got in trouble for apparently trying to bring in a whole bunch of them. But what is interesting in the telling of the story on today's Guam Daily Post is it says it is alleged that Palacios informed the seizing officer that he'll get the knives back, and later contacted the chief of customs demanding his knives be released. Really? Did he try to big shot the guy at the airport?
He says no.
I'm going to get those back. You just keep those handy because I'm going to get those. Do you know who I am? Right? I'm the guy from the EPA.
Yeah,
remember Ghostbusters? You remember that guy from the EPA? Thought he was badass? Look at me. Huh? I live to make you laugh, Michael Knight.
The first thing that went into my mind was the quote from the movie about that guy, which we cannot repeat here on the radio. I don't know many movies, but the ones I do are good.
This man has no bellies on. No, it's true. All right, so there's a lot of stuff in the front page of the Daily Post, a lot of stuff on the table of contents here in the program, and as you can tell, I got a feeling it's going to be one of those days here. Stay close to your radio, stay close to your phone. You might need them both as the Ray Gibson Show continues. It's 6:30 in the morning, and time for our first look at headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, after publicly saying he was being framed, 30-year-old Derek Baza Hill was arrested yesterday on allegations that he impersonated a police officer. A Korean tourist reported to airport police on Sunday that she had been pulled over in Inarahan by an individual whom she identified as Hills. A photo taken by the tourist showed a man holding a Parks and Rec badge and a U.S. passport card with Hills' picture on it. The tourist complied with the man's demand for $40, snapped a picture of him holding the badge and his ID. According to court documents, when he was interviewed by police, Hills admitted to the allegations against him. He's now facing allegations of impersonating a police officer, theft by deception, theft by threatening, and unsworn falsification. The defense for a man being charged in a double homicide that took place last December has engaged the services of a psychiatrist and requested that the court allow materials to be provided for the psychiatric reference. Joseph Sagdal, charged with the murder of Broky Tomaso and Avi Marachong, Sagdal's attorney has said that his client was under some form of mental incapacity when he shot and killed the two men on December 17th. An audit of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission has cited the agency for 3 control deficiencies, which were revenues unsupported by an events submission report, approving land leases without a formal signed agreement or appraisal report, and failing to assess the lease application fee within the required period. The agency also lacked a negotiated lease agreement for the office space they occupy, which was a repeat finding. Overall, the audit reports that the CLTC had a land inventory of 11,622 acres available for lease and just over 11,500 people who have qualified for either the residential or agricultural lease programs under the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
6:32, that's iConnect time. iConnect wants you to connect longer for less with their incredible mobile and internet push-to-talk plans.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Timoning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
Gotcha. 6:32, almost 6:33. And this portion of the program brought to you by Wendy's, where they're celebrating the return of the avocados, the new Southwest Avocado Spicy Chicken Sandwich. Your tree's getting heavy with avocados, right? And so that is the crowning touch on the sandwich that begins with a crispy, spicy chicken. Then they put some pepper jack cheese, load some Southwest Ranch on that, applewood smoked bacon, because we're Wendy's and we bacon everything. And then they finish off with a cool coating of creamy avocado. The Southwest Avocado Chicken Sandwich and Southwest Avocado Chicken Salad, available for a limited time at the nearest Wendy's. Try one today. Wendy's, now that's better.
GTA's best internet deal has arrived. With fiber internet, you get up to 50 megabits of data per second for only $50 per month. And if that's not enough, Fiber Internet 50 plan includes free Wi-Fi. But this offer will only last through the month of May. So sign up today and get ready for faster downloads, more streaming, a better gaming experience, and a stable connection across multiple devices. Conditions may apply. Visit gta.net for more details. GTA, your island, your network.
Never too early to get a head start on traffic at 6:34 this morning. Taking a look at the traffic gizmo, and it's telling me that I've got traffic building in both directions, leading to and away from the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base. In fact, it looks like it's a longer line of traffic, almost down to Tallinn, Letsans. If you're headed towards Anderson Air Force Base, all right, just be aware that there might be some delays there. Traffic beginning to build. Where is this going to be? On Route 1, southbound towards the intersection of 1 and 3, and moving away from that, making your way towards Dededo at that Fatima intersection. A little bit of a slowdown going north. That's odd. That's unusual. That's different. I got anything else to tell you about? Maybe a little bit of northbound traffic that is building up in the downtown Hagåtña area. Otherwise, it looks like it's smooth sailing everywhere else. 6:34. That's right now traffic on the point.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain Barbecue. Fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken.
All right, stop. I can't do this. I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger-licking good. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Mo Cotton waxing poetic here this morning on the Facebook Live. Says, life is a series of adjustments, so said I. And Jimmy Tillman says, a chiropractor would say that too. Nice, good thinking. And thinking of, I got people that are saying things, not actually saying anything, but Jimmy Moylan is online, future Senator Jimmy Moylan, Annette and Pinko Ada. And every time I see Annette, I can hear her in the voice. I hear her voice in my head saying, and the Gibson family would like to invite you to the back of the church for like merienda and some refreshments. I'm sorry, it just is. Who else? I've got Lynn Vince and Melina Montanonia and buddy Teddy Fernandez and Vivian Cunningham is online. Good to have everybody joining up for this little soiree that we have as we try to make sense of today's big headlines and all of the important stuff. As I said, one of the things that struck me this morning was as I was perusing the printed media is an editorial. Eddie Jerome Baza Calvo making a pitch here. And reminding everybody that today, a hearing at the Supreme Court, members, quote, of my administration will make the case. Will it be his fiscal task force? Will the fiscal task force be making their case in the courthouse? Your Honor, it's for the people. Agri Manhoben, think of the children. The way we do this is by enforcing Bill number 111S, which allows the government to take advantage of a short-term revenue anticipation note, this TRAN. And when I looked at this, I saw it for what it is. It's a loan. And I'm one of those guys, just because I'm stubborn, that says we've already got plenty of loans out. We've got enough that are out there. And maybe with just a little bit more prudent money management, we'd be able to see our way clear to riding the ebbs and flows and the peaks and the valleys of tax refunds. Anyway, and maybe, I forget, it's been so long now. It's been at least, 3 months, 4 months? Where are we now? May? 4 months since this was the burning, itchy controversy in talk radio. And leading some of that conversation was Ken Leon Guerrero. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
So does my memory serve right? You were principal player in the conversation drumming this bill down?
Well, I was one of them. I'm glad to say I wasn't the only one, but there were a lot of people that were very upset about this going back to, it was a year ago, a little over a year ago when Bill 73 was first introduced.
Okay.
And there have been a lot of vocal people on it. I was probably one of the more vocal ones on it. But the whole problem with that bill is it's a payday loan. You hit it right on the head. It's a payday loan. And it pledges the revenues of government in Guam because, they keep talking about, oh, no, this is just a note. It's going to be backed by Section 30 money. Well, it's not, because there's not enough Section 30 money coming in to cover it because of all the other obligations on Section 30 money. Mm-hmm. So basically, he wants to borrow $75 million to do what he's supposed to do by law, and theoretically has the money to do by law, but he just doesn't have the financial management skill to do what he should be able to do. That's why we got the business privilege tax increase, and now we've got the sales tax. It's just like bad financial management multiplied many times over because he knows he's not going to have to pay this back. It's going to be the next guy's problem. So he's going to take the $75 million. He's going to use it to enhance the last days of his administration. And in the end, the people are still going to have to pay for it. We're not going to have enough money to pay the Tran back and pay the tax refunds. So they'll roll the Tran over again. And every time they roll it over, it's $7.5 million in fees that go to some middleman. So only 67 of that goes to paying tax refunds if it's used to pay tax refunds. There's no guarantee it'll be used to pay tax refunds.
Well, this apparently had already gone to the courthouse, and the courthouse said we're with the governor on this, and but didn't lay out any instructions for the legislature, and in particular Senator Regine Biscoe-Lee, to take the bill that had been passed by the legislature, although with not the numbers that they thought I think the idea was they didn't get the number of votes required to get this thing to pass, but that's not how the court saw it. So the court said, no, this bill has officially passed over at the legislature, but did not give them any instructions on what to do next. So I think they've just been holding on to it, right?
Well, actually, that's not quite accurate.
No?
But,
well, fill it in. I wasn't paying that much attention. It was just, for me, it was just a ton of drama.
Yeah. The court ruled on one issue. How many votes does it take to pass a bill? And in their when they accepted the case, they said we are only going to look at this issue. How many votes does it take to pass a bill? We are not going to look at the bill.
The merit of the bill.
The merit of the bill. And so they won on the fact that a majority of senators present can pass a bill. So now we know as many as 5 senators can pass a bill. But if we get recusals, as many as 3 senators can pass a bill. So that's something that should scare taxpayers. But getting back to this bill, it's been defeated in the legislature again. So right now we're just going through an intellectual exercise. So it's just welfare for attorneys, as far as I'm concerned.
Where do you think this is going to end up once the Supreme Court gets their hand on it? Do you think there might be some kind of mandamus that comes out that will force the legislature to move the past version of 11S back to the governor? And does it? And will it make any difference? He can sign off on it, but there is already another version of it, as you point out, that failed.
Yeah. So the whole point is,
well, my head's about to explode here. So what do we got? I mean, does the governor get his $75 million, or do they have to start all over again once the mandamus is done?
They're going to have to start all over again because the Superior Supreme Court is going to basically say this is a moot issue because the bill has been defeated in the legislature. That's the power of the legislature. They can pass laws. They can also unpass laws. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did in this case. They unpassed the law.
Okay.
So he can go to the Supreme Court, and they can say, yeah, you know, I don't know if you remember the old nursery rhyme from driving school about Jeffrey Day. You remember that one?
No.
That's right. You're a young whippersnapper.
You know what?
You don't even remember IBM Selectric 2 typewriters, do you?
Oh, yes, I do. That's the one with the little balls on them, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, those were my favorite. And you were the top-notch secretary. You were the queen of the hive if you were the one that had the little case with all of the different balls and all the different fonts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Actually,
a crazy... Wait, hold on.
I got an A in typing because I could fix typewriters.
See, now I never had that skill. You know what I can do though is I can repair and change the majority of user serviceable items on the old teletype machines that we used to have at the radio station. You are old enough to remember that as well. Hey, guess what? Bob Klitsky's on the line. Wanted to join the conversation. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Ray. I could shed a little light on the matter before the Supreme Court if you're of a mind.
Well, I've got you on the line, but it's not a great conversation. This sounds like shortwave radio here. What are you on? Am I on a speaker?
Hands-free. I'll tell you what, I'll pull over for a minute, okay?
Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. What was the world like before hands-free radios and hands-free headsets and things like that? So, like I said, the governor making a pitch to the people through the editorial section of today's PDN on his Tran bill to get you your tax refunds paid faster is what we're looking at. And I don't know how bad. What is it? We just had the people in February 4th. First, second, third, whatever, through February the 4th, turn in their tax returns, and $33 million supposedly is already on the streets in February, March, April. So, what have we got here? A couple of months? Is that terrible? I mean, in comparison to the old days, it certainly isn't.
Yeah, it's just where did they get that $33 million that they put out? Because they haven't gotten any of the increased tax revenues.
Well, the CRER that I'm looking at, if I'm reading that correctly, indicates that individual, corporate, and withholding taxes are minus to the tune of about $10 million for March of 2018. Anyway, Senator Klitsky, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
No, it still sounds like hands-free. You didn't actually do the disconnect, and I'm not talking to you, I don't think, on your phone.
I'll bet that property tax fund is empty, so DOE isn't going to get any money out of the TEF.
I don't know.
Fund.
This is like being behind an old person at an ATM. You need help there, seniors? Disconnecting from the thing, and he disconnected himself. All right, we'll help out a little bit later on. I appreciate the intention there, Senator Klitsky, but I think and it'll be interesting to hear what your thoughts are as this moves through the court and what the next step is going to be, because it makes it sound like all they got to do is have Senator Regine send this thing back to the governor, and then he can sign off on it, and then have Jay Rojas do some jet set negotiations with the banking and the loan industry people, and come back with a $75 million, cover all the tax refunds, bang, just like that.
It'd be real interesting since the banks found government in Guam not worthy of giving us a $7.5 million loan to repair to modify the labor and delivery. Why would they give us a $75 million loan with nothing to back it up?
Well, and then there's the other concept that we get to deal with is that since then there has been a very public fiscal crisis, and at least one of the ratings agencies have put us on watch, right?
Yeah. So we've got that. We've got the fact that government of Guam basically backed away from financial management as soon as they got the business privilege tax increase through. So we haven't seen any changes in government of Guam operations that would reduce operating costs. So that's why I'm saying that this $75 million is nothing more icing on the last days of the lame duck cake.
All right. Now, and so in with regard to fairness, with regard to being able to hear both sides of the story, actually all three sides, my side, Ken's side, now with the administration side, I say good morning to Les Carlson. Good morning, Les.
Hey, good morning, Ray. Good morning, Ken. How you guys doing?
Not bad. Just going over some old ground here on the Tran bill. It's, and you can thank Eddie for putting it in the newspaper today.
Yeah, I caught something about how did we pay tax refunds, and then something about how we're not saving any money, and figured I better pick up the phone.
Well, help me through this before we jump into that, because I got a copy of the March CRER, and I'm not going to pretend to be able to make it through the several spreadsheets and account balances, because they all look like they're trying to say the same thing, but then the numbers are different at the bottom. So I'm assuming that the first of the spreadsheets is the one that is the most important, because it's in the very front. And if I look at this correctly, revenues for March 2018 for individual, corporate, and withholding taxes are off by $10 million. Is that correct?
If you go to page 3 on the bottom right, that's where we have the summary, and then we basically have a tracking,
okay.
and based upon collections, juxtaposed against the approved budget, for fiscal 18. And some weighted averages for the collection of the different tax categories. We project what we think the final outcome of the fiscal year will be. So you're looking at the March. That doesn't include the adjustment for the BBT, because that came into effect, in April. So we were not receiving any of that money just yet. But we might. I think we might have for the month of March included the $67 million adjustment to the revenue projections.
I see.
Because we knew that already. So you're going to see, for March especially, you're going to see a more pronounced projected shortfall simply because we took into account the reduction in the projected revenues as passed by the budget law, and then we haven't seen any of
the increase in the BPT. We won't get that until the CRER for April, right?
Yeah, actually no, May, because remember what we do is we capture the data for the whole month of April, and then it's reflected in the May CRER.
So it'll still be a while before we get a chance to see what the impact is with the change in the income on the withholding side, but the increase in the BPT, that's not there yet.
Yeah, and we're already seeing very visible signs of withholding because everybody has got more in their check, less to the government, and then you're also seeing this a similar situation with corporate remittances because there are a lot of people who don't wait for the quarter and do projected monthly. So people who are estimating their taxes and remitting on a monthly basis so it doesn't, accumulate into something big number at the end of the year.
Right.
Then they're scaling back because of the reduction in their corporate tax rate. So that's number one.
Because now I got you on the line, and I'm curious about something else. One of the measures that was passed over at the legislature yesterday was Mike Nicholas's bill that would allow for repatriation of federal taxes through Guam, where Guam Department of Revenue and Taxation would be able to get a fairly large bite of that of those as so far unrepatriated funds.
True.
So is the governor going to sign off on that? Do you know?
We're probably going to take a really good look at it, but I think that we believe that absent any Treasury intervention, which I believe Mike Nicholas did state for the record during the course of discussion on the bill, that might occur. There may be a situation where this is different from some of the other instances where Treasury has intervened. And, first of all, we all think that nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Right.
And so, this becoming law, should the governor sign it, will open up the opportunity, yes, for us to kind of do a blitz to all these different companies that may be, targets for repatriation.
Yeah, because now that the corporate tax rates are down across the country, there's people that are going to want to say, okay, I'll take all these funds now, send them back to the United States, and if they stop on Guam, as I said, we get a taste of that. We get to wet our beak on some of those dollars, and it's something that is unique and I think individualized just for us. But I agree with you. Maybe we should be very quiet about it so as not to get the attention of the Treasury and have them pull the blanket out from under us.
Well, as tech savvy as you are, the amount of fiber that we have running through this island.
Sure.
So technology companies will be key. People that are real heavy into internet commerce will be key. That potentially have funds, and would like to repatriate some of those funds. So our infrastructure, our internet and cable infrastructure makes us, it gives us a leg up on trying to get those funds. But
okay.
We're kind of getting off the subject.
Well, I realize that, but it's not often that you and I get a chance to talk, and I did need the primer on the CRER as well as your thoughts on Senator Nicholas's measure. I think it's an interesting idea, and hope it actually works out for us. Just to be able to see those funds moving through the island and us being able to capture our fair share of them. Anyway, so the points that you wanted to make in rebuttal to Ken.
No, it's not. I don't need to rebut anything that Ken says, but for clarity's sake, it's abundantly clear that any time that you have tax revenues that come in because April 17th has come and people have filed their taxes, there is this natural surge of revenue in the month of April, and when we get that money, then there's money that is apportioned for government operations. There's money that is set aside for the repayment of tax refunds. And as far back as when Ed Byrne, who thankfully was unanimously confirmed yesterday as their new Department of Administration director.
Congrats.
As he said to the legislature, his goal was to kick out $25 million in tax refunds. And that's based upon his review of what traditionally comes in, what our underlying foundational expenses are, and what he thought was a prudent amount that could be released based upon, history. So for people who are wondering, well, where did all this money come from? It came from the people of Guam who paid their taxes.
So
it's incumbent upon us to take those monies and make good on people who filed and are due a return.
Right. So he called 25, and the number actually turned out to be 33.
A
lot of people. I'm wondering how many people just tried to get in under the amnesty thing and just say, well, I guess I owe from a couple of years ago.
We haven't done that yet.
I know. But I think there might be some people that decided, well, if they do, if they don't, better not take any chances. And if I owe from before, let's get that money in. Maybe that's why there's such an increase.
God bless them for thinking like that, because if we had, if everybody thought like that, then we wouldn't have receivables. We wouldn't have this thing about collections and things of that nature. But it is what it is. There are people, Ray. As a guy who's been in business for a very long time, the best intentions don't necessarily pan out to be successful business ventures. The first thing that people do when they're running short of cash is they quit remitting withholding taxes because, they need that for operations. And then it spirals down from there. So the answer to the question is we paid tax refunds from the good, hard working people of Guam who remitted their taxes on a timely manner. Okay.
Now, getting back to the courthouse today, are you going to be a part of that hearing?
Oh no, that's we've done everything we can. That's in the lawyer's hands.
Oh.
And the one thing too, again,
because it says the governor says that members of my administration will make the case, and
yeah, that's his legal team.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other thing too is with respect to one other thing that Ken had to say about bank loans. Number one, we have people who will lend us the money for the Tran. Number two, the Bank of Guam situation was about, from what I understand, things like additional collateral, things that were not part of the legislation that authorized this. They didn't. As a bank, they wanted, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, they just wanted more collateral. And Ray, again, somebody like yourself who's been in business, who's gone out and got business loans, mortgage loans, sometimes people just want a little bit of extra assurance of repayment. That's all. But we didn't have the authority to do some of the things that they were asking for.
Sure.
So there was an agreement to disagree. I think that the rate was okay. Some of the other fundamental things were okay, but they just wanted a little bit more meat on the bone, which we couldn't do. So,
considering it was Guam Memorial Hospital, it's understandable.
So now there are USDA, who guaranteed the loan, is assisting and is going to be working with off-island lenders who will be, taking a look at this loan and helping us to find intermediary lenders to finally get this thing off the ground. So this project is not dead. We're looking for outside, off-island lenders. Unfortunately, we couldn't find them on island.
Well, as we're looking at things now, it's with the increase in the BPT and down the road, the 2% sales tax, there would be some money that could be set aside from that additional for Guam Memorial Hospital, if I understand the bill correctly, yes. And that might provide for the additional security that the bank needs. I got to let you run here, Les, because it's almost news time.
All right.
Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you calling. I'll get back to you a little bit later on those and other topics. Ken, sorry I couldn't do the conference thing with you because I wanted to make sure that I had that primer and some of the other topics. We can return to this one a little bit later on if you like. In the meantime, we do have to make room in the schedule here for the Fox News Live. We do this every single hour on this radio station, and it is live from the Fox News headquarters, wherever the Fox News headquarters is. Anyway, so we do this thing live. On the other side of it in the morning show, news from the Guam Daily Post. You get the latest in local news, the latest in national and international news. And despite the fact that they have increased the business privilege tax, we can still give it to you for absolutely free. The radio station is KUSG. Agutnia. Here it comes. Fox News Live.
Live from New York, The Fox Report.
I'm Lisa Brady. Privacy concerns take center stage at Facebook's annual conference, but a new feature may steal the spotlight. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal live in L.A.
Lisa, last month, Mark Zuckerberg was testifying about privacy concerns before Congress. And at the F8 Developer Conference today, the CEO introduced a host of new features, including an announcement that Facebook's getting into the dating game.
Your friends aren't going to see your profile. You're only going to be suggested people who are not your friends.
And he joked about the new group video feature on Instagram.
We're rolling out something that we call Watch Party, which lets you watch video and chat with your friends. So, let's say that your friend is testifying in Congress.
He also said a new feature is coming that allows you to clear out your Facebook history, a lot like you can clear out your web browsing history, Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. Well, the new Facebook feature on dating, sending shares of other dating sites tumbling. But overall, a late recovery on Wall Street. The Dow down 64, but it had lost more than 300 during the session. The S&P and the NASDAQ finishing higher. Apple just out with its second quarter earnings, topping estimates, but narrowly missing some Wall Street predictions for iPhone sales, with more than 52 million sold worldwide. The White House steering clear of a list of questions for the president. Russia probe special counsel Robert Mueller wants to ask that were leaked to the media.
As with all questions of this nature, I would refer you to the president's outside personal attorneys, Jay Sekulow and Rudy Giuliani.
Spokeswoman Sarah Sanders not commenting on the question's focus, including the firing of FBI Chief James Comey, possible obstruction of justice, possible ties to Russia. The president tweeting earlier today, the leak was disgraceful, denying any collusion again. On the Fox Report, fair and balanced.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
More of the Central American migrants seeking asylum in the U.S. are hoping to be allowed over the Mexico border. 8 were brought in for initial interviews last night.
The caravan is camped just outside the pedestrian gate, and these individuals are hoping, again, that they will be selected, prioritized, if you will, to get an invitation to have an asylum hearing in the U.S. So what they're going to basically do is have an opportunity to tell their story.
Fox's William Lajeunesse in Tijuana, the busiest port entry in the U.S., some 20,000 people seeking to get in every day. Some from Mexico now raising questions about why members of the caravan seem to be getting precedence for consideration. Mike Pompeo addressing State Department staffers for the first time as Secretary of State today.
I am humbled to be here.
He had jetted to a NATO meeting in Brussels and then to the Middle East only hours after his Senate confirmation last week. Tomorrow, President Trump will lead a ceremonial swearing in for him at the State Department. It'll be the president's first trip there, and other cabinet members are planning to attend as well. A popular TV cartoon and a favorite teen movie become Broadway hits. SpongeBob SquarePants, the musical. and Mean Girls, each nominated for a dozen Tony Awards, tied for the most. The wide range of nominees also includes a revival of Carousel, picking up 11 nominations, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child with 10, and The Iceman Cometh with 8, including for lead actor Denzel Washington. Late word out of Michigan that a reckless driver on drugs before crashing his pickup truck into a pack of bicyclists has been convicted of second-degree murder. 5 people were killed in that incident. Charles Pickett now faces up to life in prison. Fox News Radio.
GTA's best internet deal has arrived. With fiber internet, you get up to 50 megabits of data per second for only $50 per month. And if that's not enough, Fiber Internet 50 plan includes free Wi-Fi. But this offer will only last through the month of May. So sign up today and get ready for faster downloads, more streaming, a better gaming experience, and a stable connection across multiple devices. Conditions may apply. Visit gta.net for more details. GTA, your island, your network.
Do you suffer from eye strain? If you work at a computer, follow the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds to reduce eye fatigue. Ensure you have the optimal prescription for your contact lenses and glasses. Early stages of common eye diseases typically have no symptoms and can only be detected with a comprehensive dilated eye exam. Call Lombard Health today to book an appointment at 989-4747. Guam's best eye care. One patient at a time.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Move into e-billing and reduce your carbon footprint while enjoying an easier, faster, and more secure way to receive and view your bills. No more paper clutter or waiting for the mail. Go green and sign up today by checking out DocomoPacific.com or calling 688-CARE. Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less.
Docomo Pacific, better together.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Not even a day in the job, and acting Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency Director Eric Palacios finds himself on the defensive. An anonymous email circulating to the media yesterday questioning Palacios' fitness for the position, alleging he returned to Guam from the Philippines on March 27th with so-called butterfly knives, which are barred by federal law and were seized from him at the airport. He's also accused of contacting the former customs chief to demand the knives be returned. In a statement yesterday, Palacios confirmed that he did bring in a set of butterfly knives from the Philippines. He said they were a gift from his brother-in-law. He acknowledged that he later made contact with customs officials through the proper channels to inquire about the knives, and when he learned that the items were federally regulated, he took no further action. The knives remain in the agency's property office until they are properly destroyed. Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio denying allegations he played any role in the arrest of Troy Torres, a former senior aide in the Calvo Tenorio administration. There is no factual basis to any of the claims, said Tenorio. Torres has denied the drug allegations against him and stated that he was told by the officer who released him that the Mandanya Drug Task Force didn't want to arrest him, but the Chief of Police, Joseph Cruz, and the Lieutenant Governor decided otherwise, said Torres. When asked about Torres' allegations, Tenorio said, "I had nothing to do with his arrest." He called Torres an intelligent, talented man who did an exceptional job at the governor's office, and he hopes Torres is able to find his way past this chapter in his life. Torres was released Saturday on a 3-year notice to appear. He has not been charged. We'll have more news after this.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. My name is Jesse Cruz from the village of Maina, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Tanomo. Protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. Supreme Court Chief Justice Catherine Merriman urged lawmakers not to think of the judicial branch as just another agency when it comes to deciding fiscal matters. And she warned that any additional budget cuts to the island's third branch of government would threaten core court operations. Merriman delivered the State of the Judiciary address at the Guam Congress building yesterday. She told island leaders that the judiciary's cash allotments have been slashed twice this year, amounting to a 15% reduction in its total fiscal year 2018 budget, even though the governor's office had said that there was a 10% cut to the judicial branch. Recognizing the need for belt-tightening, the Chief Justice said the judiciary has responsibly managed its dwindling resources by increasing efficiencies, but she warned that cutting corners will inevitably come at the cost of serving the public. A bill transferring procurement authority for the reconstruction of Simon Sanchez High School from the Department of Public Works to the Guam Department of Education sailed through the legislature yesterday, winning easy passage by a unanimous vote of 14-0. Also approved was Vice Speaker Therese Terlahi's bill to allow for the immediate implementation of the 11% tax on short-term vacation rentals without the need for additional rules and regulations. And Senator Michael San Nicolas's Bill 246 was also passed. It gives a 75% rebate to any U.S. corporation that repatriates foreign profits here on Guam, potentially reaping millions in much-needed tax revenue for the island. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Right now with some weather.
It says here, partly cloudy skies and isolated showers. Winds out of the east up to about 20 miles an hour, decreasing a bit overnight. Highs today about 89 degrees and overnight lows of about 78 degrees. Now, Mike knows that I don't want to read the same thing every single day, so he found something new for me. Look for a high risk of rip currents along east-facing reefs. How's that?
Yeah, we got an east swell coming in, so the trade winds are building that water up into little walls, and so, yeah, some of the rip currents might be a little hazardous out east.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If you're on the eastern side of the island, and you know, because the ocean's on your right-hand side.
Right.
Okay, so if you're, well, if depending on which way you're facing.
Yeah, well, unless you're facing it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Pirates Cove side. If you're on that side of the island, be very careful right around the water. That's a year-round good advice. Yeah. So what do we got here? Sunrise this morning was at 5:59. Sunset tonight at 6:36. We anticipate the sun will break the plane early again tomorrow about 5:58. It's 7:12 right now on the Ray Gibson Show on The Point.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There's so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families like yours for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
Hafaday Guam, you can help make a difference by joining the National Day of Prayer, sponsored by the Guam Ministerial Association on Thursday, May 3rd at 6:30 p.m., located at the Adaloop stage at the Governor's Complex. For more information, call 477-5487. That's 477-5487. Save the date, Guam, the National Day of Prayer, Thursday, May 3rd. Let's make a difference together.
The Ray Gibson Show, your new News Talk headquarters.
Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. 7:14 in the morning. My name is Ray. Great to have you along for the ride here, and spent a little bit of time in the last hour talking about some fiscal stuff here. The Tran bill from last year, and a little kerfuffle that popped up again in January. Back in the Supreme Court today. We'll see what comes from that. Whether or not the justices will suggest to the folks over at the legislature that they pass the as-passed version of the bill to the governor's office. But as he points out himself in the editorial this morning, the governor points out that the legislature has done something very interesting. They have also got a version of the bill that they voted on again, and it failed that time. So they've got one that was and one that wasn't. Will they negate each other? Will the streams cross, heralding an end to life as we know it in this dimension? I don't know. We'll find out. Bob Klitsky was going to give me the answer, but he had a hard time. Undoing his hands free from the. That's tougher than it sounds. And every car is different. Every system that I've ever been in different cars is different. So you get the Bluetooth going, and sometimes the Bluetooth only works with the phone. Sometimes it works with the music. Sometimes it works with phone and music. And so the phone rings in my car, for example. The phone rings in my car, and I press a button on the dashboard, which hangs it up.
Nice.
I got to read the instructions.
I am dedicated to the task, the life task, of ensuring that my phone is never smarter than me.
Good luck. That's changing fast. All right. Speaking of smartphone stuff, you see where the numbers on the markets are this morning, and we'll take a quick look at that just because it's that time for the market report. Looks like everybody has managed to jump up a little bit. S&P 500 up by 6.75 points. They closed at 2,654. NASDAQ is at 7130. They're up by 65 points. That's nice. Dow's only up by 64. At 24,099. A lot of the foreign markets managed to close up yesterday. The FTSE is up by 11 points. Nikkei up by 40. The Hang Seng up by 527. I do have a piece of good news when it comes to oil. Is that West Texas 67.50? That's off by $1. But Tapis crude, that's the stuff that eventually turns into gasoline that you and I put in our cars here on Guam, is now $74.88 at the most recently published price point. So that's where that number is going to be, and hopefully the gas companies here will be buying gas at that lower oil rate as opposed to what it was last week, which is a little bit closer to $75.50. I think 57 cents is where that ended up. There's a bunch of other things that we can talk about now, and the big stories that led to some of these new numbers. Facebook, you heard about this on Fox, announcing a new dating feature, and Match is getting clobbered as a result of it. I mean, all of this stuff happens overnight. Internet dating. Are you doing it? Are you a single guy doing internet dating? Have you found the Tinders and the matches and the mingles and all of that?
You know, that's dangerous stuff. I myself do not, because
it's dangerous.
I'm not single.
What have you heard?
Man,
You think there might be scams there?
Oh,
Deary?
geez. Yeah.
All right, it's time for somebody to do some investigative journalism. 7:17 in the morning, and that's what happened in the market report. And ambling over to a chair. And I'm trying to figure this out because I thought you had already come in and did all of your recordings. You did?
I did, yeah.
What happened?
Well, I decided
to
that
change. We're going to go in another direction.
We changed to go in another direction today.
Okay.
The one that was supposed to go today will go next week.
Okay.
We'll get that all figured out. I need an intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, now doing this. I love live radio. This is unplanned, unscripted.
Well, before you do the live intro,
yeah.
What we're going to do today. This is a copy of. Where's your camera?
It's right in. Yours is there. That's your camera there. Hey.
This is an old magazine called Directions that I had something to do with about 100 years ago. And this is from the August-September 2001
when you still
issue.
have hair, I think.
Let me see.
No, wait a second. That's right. You've been shaving a long time.
No. I had the mustache.
That's the shorn Jerry Roberts.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, anyway, this is about August-September 2001. We were bi-monthly at the time. And I'm going to read you something that was written by a fellow named Bill Gibson. You know him.
He's listening this morning.
He's listening this morning.
Got
Good
the
morning,
Facebook
Bill.
Live going.
And he wrote this 17 years ago. And I wanted to read it because we used to say in Directions Magazine that the stuff that we print would be good 20 years from now. We're about 20 years from now. So I wanted to read this today, and now I'll take that intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the studios of The Point 93.3 with the Extra Point, here's Jerry Roberts.
It's from Company Policy. It is by Bill Gibson, who at the time had been the executive director of the Employers Council at that point for 22 years. And it's called Where You Going? Read this only if you hope to get to the top line of the pay plan someday. You might be surprised to learn that 55% of what others perceive about you is based on your clothing and appearance. Fair or not, your outward appearance is the very first and sometimes the only criteria that employers, customers, and coworkers have to judge your competence and ability. Creating a positive impression. Proper appearance and grooming isn't just for senior executives. It's for all of us, no matter what kind of work we do or what we wear on the job. Here are ways to do that. Be well groomed and appropriately dressed when you're at work. Choose clothing that creates a positive, reliable image and make sure they fit properly. Keep your clothing clean and pressed. Build a wardrobe containing fewer items of better value and higher quality. Stretch your clothing dollar with outfits that will still be in style next week. Buy accessories to add diversity. Wear the appropriate amount of jewelry, makeup, and fragrance. Avoid extremes in hairstyles and accessories. No one's going to buy a $40,000 car from someone with purple hair and 3 nose rings. That's Bill. Okay. Your company spends considerable money on employee development training, yet most of the skill it takes to succeed doesn't come from seminars or management programs, but on the job. Experience is still the best teacher, especially adverse experience. Good lessons to learn. Stay cool, remain calm, be sensitive, and be thankful for mistake-tolerant supervisors and managers. Next time you make a mistake, large or small, chalk it up as a good lesson and move on to the next challenge. The chances are excellent that you'll never take that particular wrong turn again. Successful companies accept the fact that mistakes occur as part of dynamic business growth. Mistakes come with the territory. Remember the old saying, if you don't make any mistakes, you're not taking enough risks. Skills to master for success. Listening is one of the most critical workplace skills required in today's workplace. Most people listen at about 25% of their potential. There are 3 basic steps to listen at 100% efficiency. Stop, think, and listen. Refine your listening skills and avoid potential problems in the future. Writing is another important skill. Poorly written communications tend to bury good ideas, confuse your boss, frustrate your coworkers, and make your customers angry. As you communicate with colleagues and customers through email, letters, memos, and reports, be natural. Skip all the legalese, governmentese, and fancy words. Just write the way you talk. Better yet, write the way your grade school teacher taught you, using simple, declarative sentences. Learning to lead. Leading, communicating, supervising, motivating, and team building depends on the right style for the occasion and the people involved. Center your leadership somewhere between your authority and your ability to persuade. Your leadership style should be appropriate to the needs of the people in your work group and the actual work to be done. Remember, your leadership style is like the measles. Good or bad, it will be passed down the line. You can influence employee behavior without even knowing it. The best place to learn to lead is on the job. You'll be a good leader, a good supervisor, if you once had a supervisor who was a good leader. Think back to when you worked for someone who was really a good boss. That person was firm, fair, not afraid to criticize or to give compliments. That boss was a good communicator and a persuasive leader who treated you with dignity and respect. Now, where does it say you can't be like that? Bill Gibson, Where You Going? Article Company Policy, 17 years ago.
Nice.
In Directions Magazine.
Nice. Yeah.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
The Guam Chamber of Commerce every year decides that there are people who should be in the Business Hall of Fame. And I want to throw a name in the hat, and it's Bill Gibson's name. And I don't know if they're going to bite on this, but I'll say one thing. He, at the Employers Council for almost 30 years?
A long time, yes.
Long time, okay. And he, with the Employers Council, saved the bacon. Now, Ray likes the word bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, you raised a kid who uses bacon as a verb. Come on.
Imagine that.
I mean, I'm vegetarian. How hard is it to listen to this
So
guy?
I know where you're headed. I know where you're headed.
Because he saved companies millions of dollars in potential legal issues by getting him on the right track to do things. He advanced the cause and the art and science of human resources way beyond what anybody else was doing. And because he had 100 clients or something in Employers Council, I mean, they listened to what he had to say, and they got back on track. So, I mean, this is a guy who didn't build a business. He didn't hire a bunch of employees. He didn't invest millions of his own dollars into a business, and that's where most of these awards go to. This is a guy that simply helped businesses to save their millions of dollars. And that, to me, deserves something. And
724.
that's the extra point.
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate it. And
Get
Pop
out there and
appreciates
make
it.
something good happen today.
Pop appreciates it as well. It's 7:25. Be right back.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fire to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Looking at the traffic gizmo, is there some, things look like it's cleared up going into Anderson Air Force Base, but coming out of Route 9, looks like you might have a couple of problems southbound there. Marine Corps Drive leading up to the intersection of 1 and 3, looking clear, but once you get to 3, if you're on 3 trying to get out to Marine Corps Drive, it's going to be slowing down a little bit. In front of Anderson Air Force Base, the AB-1 at International Airport, you might see a line of traffic. You know what it is? It's that light where you're coming out of coming out of the departure area, you drop people off, there's a light and it stays on whether there's any cars or not. So what people are doing, they're listening to entire songs, from where they are, waiting for that light to turn green. Otherwise, the only other problem that you might see is a little bit in Mangilao near GCC UOG. That's par for the course, 725. That's Wednesday morning traffic on The Point.
Are you waiting too long for a home loan decision? Are you looking for a bank that understands your needs and can close your loan quickly at today's super low rates? Then come no further than Bank Pacific. Our home loan specialists are friends and neighbors from your community, and our decisions are made right here in Hagåtña. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
Put your hands on the radio and you'll field the radio. That's what Jeff Evans is saying in the program. It's 7:26 right now, and a couple of minutes before we have to get into headlines and things like that. But there are some other interesting developments, and just as a way of killing time, because every once in a while we'll come out of the extra point and have a couple of extra minutes before we got to do the headlines. And I thought, one of the fun things that at least it's fun for me is making people nervous talking about Donald Trump. Everybody has an opinion about Donald Trump and the way he's run the country. So what I thought I'd do on mornings like this, where I've got a couple extra minutes, is go through some of Trump's tweets. Right? And about 24 hours ago, and this is ripped from today's headlines, what's he going to do? There seems like there's a little bit of a challenge going on at the border. That migrant caravan, Donald Trump writes, that is openly defying our border shows how weak and ineffective U.S. immigration laws are. Yet Democrats like John Tester continue to support the open borders agenda. Tester even voted to protect sanctuary cities. We need lawmakers who will put America first. A couple of the other things that he is tweeting now, and this is very interesting. I didn't know that you could get a trip to the White House just for this, but he writes today, and this is just a couple hours old, it was my great honor to thank and welcome the heroic crew members and passengers of Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 at the White House. That is cool. I mean, it's too bad you got to go through a plane crash for it, but what is it? That's the one where the cowling came off. The
engine
exploded?
basically blew up a window in the plane, which partially sucked a lady out and killed her in the process. So,
wow.
Yeah, tragic events.
So the fun part now is to see what the reaction is from among the left. You know, now that he's got these people, these heroes and victims of this plane crash, I wonder what Colbert is going to say about it tonight. Anyway, 7:29. That's this morning's Trump tweets. It is time right now for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, the A.B. Wampat International Airport Authority Board of Directors has approved an interim deal with Lotte Duty Free to allow the retailer to remain in place in the wake of a Superior Court order voiding the duty-free concession agreement between the two parties. The airport, in a release, says that the agreement ensures that the retail services Lotte provides to the traveling public will continue, at least for the time being. The agreement follows mediation conducted by attorney Fred Horecki and was entered into by the two parties to address the uncertainty created by the Superior Court's order voiding and setting aside the Lotte concession agreement. After publicly saying he was framed, 30-year-old Derek Baza Hills was arrested yesterday on allegations that he impersonated a police officer. A Korean tourist reported to airport police on Sunday that she was pulled over in Inarahan by an individual whom she identified as Hills. A photo taken by the tourist showed a man holding a Parks and Recreation badge and a U.S. passport card with Hills's picture on it. The tourist complied with the man's demand for $40 and snapped a picture of him holding the badge and the ID card. According to court documents, when Hills was interviewed by police, he admitted to the allegations against him. He's now facing allegations of impersonating a police officer, theft by deception, and theft by threatening, as well as unsworn falsification. Department of Land Management Director Michael Borja has instructed his staff to disclose any immediate familial relationships they may have with CLTC lease applicants by submitting a declaration in the applicant's file. Borja issued the instruction after learning that some land management employees and their relatives were issued $1 annual land leases for 99 years to highly desirable lots in Barrigada Heights. Borja has said that he was unaware that his sister and the land administrator's daughter were among those approved for leases. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
7:32, that's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk and mobile plans.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
All right, 7:31, another look at traffic. As I said, we've got issues on Route 1 and Route 3. It's going to be like that. You got the construction that's going on and a little bit of widening, and hopefully it works out and makes it so that this time, I don't know, when they're done with the project, what is it, 5 years from now, the traffic should move a little bit smoother through there. But right now, southbound traffic leading up to the intersection, beginning to build. Traffic coming out of Route 3 towards Guam Regional Medical City, also starting to build right now. We've got some slowing down over there. I mentioned slowing down coming out of Route 9 towards southbound, towards the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base. But it doesn't look like there's any other places where we're seeing any major congestion. We've got the usual line of traffic in front of the intersection of 4 and 10, and the usual line of traffic is people trying to make their way to, it's got to be GCC and the university, because I think it's too early to start drinking at Franny's. That's happy hour somewhere, and that's traffic on the point.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain Barbecue, fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken.
All right, stop, I can't do this. I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
I got 7:34 on the clock in the studio. and lots and lots to talk about. Some tantalizing bits of news and headlines that we get to play around with. Among them, like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and look at it again. The Ray Tenorio dismisses former aide's corruption allegations. And what did you think he was going to do? Did you think he was going to confess? You know what? Yes, I confess. I'm so glad that Troy brought all of that stuff out there in the State of the Troy address. It was a burden on my heart, my karma, my soul. And now that he's brought it out in front of everybody, I feel free. I feel like I can march through the gates of heaven. Now that all these allegations, no, what he actually said was there's nothing in there. There's not a shred of proof in any of the things that Troy was talking about, except, and you had to make it all the way through. I don't know if you watched the State of the Troy address. You'd have to make it all the way through towards the end, a little bit of a Q&A thing, where somebody was asking, I think, if they had been in touch, if anybody had talked to him. And he says, I don't understand this because Ray's a friend. In fact, he was even looking for me. He was looking for me for a puppy. I guess Troy had puppies. I don't know biologically how that kind of thing can happen, but apparently they're unique puppies, and Ray wanted one, so he was asking about it. So he said, now that part was true. So work on that. I'll return to this in just a couple of minutes, but the legislature in action yesterday, and a number of veto-proof bills that went out that hardly anybody voted no on anything. So I think those are the rarities. I want to see if I can get a list of all of the no votes and talk about those. But unanimously support for Bill number 204, which would provide for the Department of Education to take on the procurement so that somebody can, for once and for all, fix Simon Sanchez High School. Now, I'm curious about how this is going to work, because the first thing that I think we have to do is we've got to deal with the protests that exist now. That's a point that is made in the story in the Guam Daily Post, right? So that's still something that they've got to punch through, right?
Can't do anything until that's resolved. That's
okay.
Right.
So, but I guess they can work towards it. Based on the existing procurement, they might be able to work towards something. At the end of the day, though, I consider this a major victory for, among others, Mark Mendiola and John Fernandez, Andre Bainum, but most especially for the students of Simon Sanchez, led by Andre Bainum. Good morning.
Good morning. Yay for the students of Simon Sanchez.
Congratulations. You made it.
Thank you very much. It's really got to say thanks to the Guam legislature. They worked hard, especially Frank Huggan for coming up to our school and pitching this idea. I think he did this back in November or even before that. October, and he wouldn't let up. And Joe San Augustine also came out and supported this bill, and hopefully this is the answer. I was on the phone yesterday talking to a few senators right before the vote, and kind of letting them know that their vote is crucial, and we need this at Sanchez, and please don't send us back to the DPW. They failed us 3 times, and so it worked out really well, and we're happy, and we'll see how things go.
Well, and I guess that's the big question is where are things going to go next? As Kevin and I talking about, we still got the existing protest that we have to get through. Hopefully that will give them the time that they need to put together a, I don't want to say protest proof, but maybe some stronger procurement language so that, John is working with the DOE, is going to be able to get finally some kind of closure on this and to start on actual construction on the property.
Well, I hope that the courts move expeditiously in that, in this protest bid from Cortec, and then we'll see from there. That's the only thing we're waiting for now, and then John is going to hit the ground running as soon as we find out the results of that protest. So. We're ready to go. The stakeholders are ready to give our input and our help wherever we need it.
Is there going to be a rally at school?
We're going to do an appreciation, certificate for the senators and just everybody to, so they can put something on their desk to remind them of Simon Sanchez and their continued support, because it doesn't end here. There's some appropriations, I think, that needs to be made, and if any tweaks to the bill as they move forward, need to be made. we're going to need their help, and we hope that they're able to give that support to John and the Department of Education moving forward.
Well, it is possible, and depending on which surveys you look at, it is also maybe likely that the next governor of Guam, Frank Uggan, could help spirit guide the spirit of this measure to completion. We'll see what happens.
One thing we made.
See, I only say that because he's online too.
Right. No, but, one thing we always made sure of, and in speaking with Senator Uggan, is, we had senators and political leaders come up in 2012. We had them come up in 2014. We had them come up in 2016, all promising to build Sanchez. And we mentioned to him and we gave him our concerns and said, please don't use this as a political, whatever to boost your standings or whatever, and he's always been very, very sincere. That's never been, because we did this way back in October before. I think he
declared. Well,
yeah.
Tell you what, like I said, he's on the other line, so I'm going to bring him into the conversation because there's a couple of other issues that I want to talk to him about. And I know that he'd offer his support, continuing support, regardless of whether he's in the governor's office, the legislature, or. I don't know what he would do. The clerk at Home Depot if he's not either. Okay, I'll talk to you pretty soon, Andre.
Thank you.
All right, and congratulations again. I think that's a real milestone. Still some hurdles to get through, but we'll watch and see what happens. Senator Frank Uggan on the line. Good morning, sir.
Half a day. Good morning, Ramon. Good morning to you and to all of your listeners out there.
I hear a siren in the background. Hopefully you're pulled over, and that is kind of. Let me just start with that interesting question. Number one, if you're not the governor and you're not the senator, what are you going to do? What job are you going to have?
Let me put it this way, Ray. There's only one item that I'm focusing on right now at this point in time, and I'm not even looking beyond that. So I can say that much. I mean, it's either I focus on running for governor and winning this race in light of all the other good candidates that are out there that are offering their services in the same capacity. So I'm going to stay focused on that.
Okay, so they do have openings at Home Depot.
Thank you, Ramon.
Just saying. Oh, wait. Or you know what? They got the package store over at the Guard in Readiness Center, right? They got the gas station.
Ramon, like I said, I'm just focused. That's it. One item. Right in front of me. It's in front of me right now.
I'm just trying to be helpful. I don't want you coming around my house bumming me for smokes and booze and all of that stuff. I want to make sure that you're employed. The first thing that I wanted to talk to you about was, in fact, it might be the sole thing. I want to, just as a concerned taxpayer and somebody who has watched the drama with the Chamorro Land Trust Commission and land management unfold over the last month, I want to thank you for your continued diligence on that.
Well, thank you, Ramon. Let me transition to that shortly, but let me congratulate the students at Simon Sanchez High School, first of all, and the community up there, and Mr. Bainum, for all of their efforts over the course of the last 5-6 years.
Sure.
In light of 4 different requests for proposals that were put out and ensuing protests that followed, they have not lost hope. And I'm anticipating that with the passage of Bill 204, thanks to the support of my colleagues, that the governor would act accordingly, and that upon the conclusion and resolution of the ongoing protest, that Mr. Fernandez will be tasked with this responsibility. And I have every confidence that he will take the bull by the horn and run with this in terms of making sure that we realize the construction of Simon Sanchez High School.
Hey, listen, all he's got to do is just make sure everything gets run by Tom Atta and John Thomas Brown. Just those 2 guys initialing all of the paperwork, and I think we might have something that will be able to survive the protests.
Okay, well, regardless.
That's just me. I just saw that, it's just those are the guys that we're giving the classes. John Thomas Brown literally wrote a book on procurement practice in the government of Guam. So he's the guy that I would bring in on an almost consultant basis.
Yes, he's been a very active participant in the discussion of reforming the procurement procedure. So I certainly recognize that.
So you're mad because I mentioned Tom Atta, and you're mad at Tommy because Tommy doesn't want to do the oversight.
Well, first of all, let me just provide a little bit of context to this whole discussion in the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. When the clearing and the grading had commenced, it was brought to my attention by a number of residents surrounding that immediate area. They were inquiring what was going on and if the appropriate permits and clearing permits and grading permits were acquired. So in that case, we did a little bit of investigation. We requested some information from the Department of Land Management. We also followed up with Guam EPA. Because of the terrain, it would directly impact the residents and the landowners in the lower lying area of Barrigada Heights in the Bello area. So because of those concerns, we wanted to ensure that the government was following the appropriate procedure in terms of acquiring the permits, and part of that permitting process would be to allow the adjacent residents to be aware of what was going on. Well, we discovered that because of what was going on, that the appropriate clearing and grading permits were not acquired, and there were some concerns with the environmental impact. And also in light of that, Ray, we also identified, or we were instructed that there were 3 water wells within that particular parcel of property. So these are all environmental concerns. These are all issues that we don't want the government to come in and allow for the distribution of properties, the clearing of properties, without recognizing if there's going to be a flooding as a result in the lower lying areas and the private property owners, then we need to ensure that these families are aware of that and the government carries out appropriate mitigation efforts. That was my initial concern. Now looking at things that have surfaced since then in terms of the revelation of familial members, a number of familial members of the Department of Land Management personnel being involved in this. One of the things that we have requested is that the chairman of land, who is Senator Palmada, conduct an oversight hearing so we can get to the bottom of this. Because to me, we were instructed back in 1995, in December 2nd, 1995, when all those applicants were in line, and Ray, if you recall, there were thousands of applicants in line on that particular date and the days following, that it was a first-come, first-served basis. So what I need to know, and these applicants need to know, is that, yes, that process is being followed. And incidentally, what adds fuel to the fire, Ray, is that an individual came into my office just yesterday, and shared with me that 3 of this individual's children applied on December 2nd. One was given a property in a flooding area, so they're trying to work out, that child is trying to work out an arrangement to swap the land and has yet to be able to be given that parcel property. The other 2 have yet to be notified and contacted, and they have not had a change in address.
Wait, hold on.
Wait. A change in address in terms of their mailing address.
So they could have been found, but have not been.
Yes, correct. Based on the discussion that I had with this parent. So those are issues that really need to be addressed in terms of how these family members or how these individuals are receiving properties without going through the sequential process, the first-come, first-served basis, because that's how it should be applied, and it should have been applied that way from day one.
You know what, Senator, that will explain something. This will sound tongue-in-cheek, but it's part of it is meant to, but maybe that will explain all the people that say their phone rings once and then it gets hung up, right? So it might be somebody at Land Management making a phone call to say, okay, we got your, we're going to approve your parcel. We're going to get you this lot in Barrigada Heights. Gee, if you answer the phone in the first ring, you'll get it, right?
But see, I'm not going to speculate. That's why I was insisting that we have an oversight hearing.
Right, because that could be exactly what's happening, and just so that somebody can say, yeah, I tried to get a hold of Frank. I let the phone ring once, and he didn't answer, so I went on to the next name. Oh, that's my cousin. Worse, that's my Chelu. That's wait a second, that's the boss's daughter. How about that? Imagine that.
Imagine that. And that's where some people are having some questions and some concerns. That in addition to that, Ray, there are other parcels of property that have been distributed where there's no clearance of or access to that parcel of property, and they've been given the land leases. It's been a couple of years. So in situations like that, we have to ask ourselves the question, why is it that the clearing and grading is taking place up at Barrigada Heights for the land lease owners or the individuals that have been identified to receive land leases, but some of the other parcels that have already been distributed, there are no access roads being provided. And so there's that question about priority. There are
Well, because here's why. This is why it's happening that way, Frank. It's so that they can get the land clearing done, that they can get these people in there, and then once they're on the property, they'll never be able to get moved. And no matter what the findings of any oversight hearing or anything else is, once those people are on that property, it's going to be undoable. We're not going to be able to back out on this thing. So, as a taxpayer, as somebody, I don't have a dog in the hunt. I never signed up for the land. I could if I wanted to. With I've got the genealogy that would back me up on some Chamorro Land Trust properties, but I didn't need it, so I didn't get in line. I wanted to be fair to everybody. So in this case, now we've got all of these people who obviously have the hookups. I need somebody in a position of authority to demand a moratorium that nothing else happen on these properties until this whole process has been vetted. I mean, Chris Barnett did another story yesterday and talking to Borja, and I guess what they're going to do is they're going to require some kind of disclosure. Well, what's that gonna accomplish? What will that accomplish?
Exactly. We need to go back to square one and recognize if it's not in the rules and regulations, then we need to enact policies or change the rules and regulations so that, in fact, it's done sequentially. Number 500 on that list should not be first in receiving property before number 59.
This is not the way. This was not the idea when they first put this thing together all of those years ago. This is not the way it was supposed to work. And what it is turning into is something that feels slimy every time I hear about it. Yes. And I think there are more and more people that need to start looking at this very, very seriously. I know that your colleague Regine Bisco-Lee has asked the OPA to look at it. Has asked the Attorney General to take a look at it. Haven't heard anything about where we're going with that. But in the meantime, here's what we'll do. We'll ask for disclosure. That's what we'll do. We'll ask people to disclose whether or not they may or may not be related to somebody. Like, that makes a difference. It apparently didn't make any difference when it came down to the sister.
Yeah, you're right. And those are the real hard-line questions that we need to inquire about. And if we need to change the law so that, in fact, any individual that has a close relation, either the first or second consanguinity, family member relationship, then we need to ensure that there's not only that automatic disclosure, but there's a removal from the process of entertaining that particular applicant so that someone else can be able to entertain that within the agency. I'm not saying set them aside. I'm saying someone else has to be responsible for facilitating that individual's applicant, not a family member. We have to be fair across the board, Ray. And there are thousands. We know there are thousands. I believe a number that was mentioned a couple of days back when Mr. Borja was in the room was about 7,000 to 8,000, and he corrected us. I believe the number he threw out was between 11,000 and 13,000 applicants for land leases under the Chamorro Land Trust. If there are that many, then we need to look at making sure that there's fairness applied across the board and that distribution of properties is based on a first-come, first-served basis.
All right. So getting back to the gist of the conversation here, you had written a letter to Tom Adda, to Senator Adda, asking for an oversight, and he declined the opportunity to sit down because we've got. I guess you guys approved 2 new members, so now they've got enough people on the board. So these guys have been boardless all this time. They didn't even have a board to be able to go back to and.
We were instructed a few days back that they had a minimum requirement for quorum. But regardless, Ray, the issue here is that this is an oversight responsibility. We need to ensure that either Chamorro Land Trust and all of their personnel and Department of Land Management personnel are following the rules and regulations. If there are no appropriate rules and regulations that would require fairness across the board for land distribution, then we need to. That's where we come in after an oversight hearing and we recognize some of the challenges and we make corrections and changes to the laws. And that's our responsibility. And that's why I'm extremely disappointed that my colleague, Senator Tom Adda, does not want to have an oversight hearing. So that tells me that to some extent he condones what's going on, which is very, very scary in this situation because, like I shared with you, the parent yesterday that visited my office has an example of individuals that applied on the 2nd of December, 1995, and have yet to receive their property.
Okay, and at the risk of irking Tom the Hammer Adda, and I hear what you're saying. There is the hesitation. Remember that one of the first names that comes out when we start talking about people that are already getting leases for this just cleared land up on Barrigada Heights is Peter Alexis Adda.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying I'm not suggesting that that he has turned down the opportunity for an oversight because a relative is already on the list. I'm just saying I'm pointing out another opportunity for the appearance of impropriety.
Yes, and I just want an assurance to all the applicants who waited in line for many hours during the second or December 1995. They need that sense of assurance that the process is being followed or is fairly applied. If it's not, then we in the legislature have to enact policies to make those corrections immediately before there's any further distribution of property or any further land clearing aside from those that have already been dispersed. So, I mean, that's the focus here, Ray, that's our responsibility. It's not wait for the commission to decide this or wait for the governor. If the commission doesn't decide it, then the governor's gonna decide that, because that's what my colleague shared with me in the letter that he sent to me. And I think that that's completely outrageous. We need to be able to pull these individuals in, ask the right questions, make corrections, changes to the laws, so that the rest of the applicants can be assured that there's going to be sequential entertainment of all of their applications and that the properties are going to be distributed.
Yeah, if we're not going to do this right or fairly, then we're not living up to the intent of the legislation and the number of people politically and or otherwise that have made the sacrifices to get it done. There's a lot of people that didn't agree with it in the first place, and don't forget there is still an active federal case against it with Dave Arnold Davis.
Understood.
Right. So and he's pointing out, at the very front of it, the quote Chamorro Land Trust Act.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So there are other factors that come into play, but I'm more concerned about the existing process that's being applied and making sure that there's fairness and equity across the board.
I got you. Well, and I appreciate the passion. That's the kind of thing that gets you elected.
Thanks, Ramon. I appreciate it, and we're going to continue to track this process.
And an opportunity for you to express your condolences to the families of Eddie Regis today, as
we are about ready to. Thank you very much, Ramon. We're about ready to enter into conduct the state funeral for the former Lieutenant Governor Eddie Regis. A wonderful individual. My dad worked very closely with him. My dad and mom, and I just want to extend our prayers of condolences to his family. And really thank him for his service to our island and to our community. I believe he did a fantastic job.
I miss that voice.
Yes, thank you.
And that big, deep, booming voice. I'll talk to you pretty soon. 7:56. While you're in the church house, say a prayer for me. That'd be all right. Senator Frank Uggan Jr. On the phone expressing, framing, if you will, the story about what had happened with this Chamorro Land Trust, how he got involved with it, and some of the things that have been uncovered. I was disappointed when I saw this as well, when I saw the opportunity for an oversight hearing with Senator Tom Atta. And he says, quote, there are 2 new commissioners just confirmed today, bringing the commission to full membership. The full board can order the administrative review of what went on, decide if there's any wrongdoing, issue orders, and otherwise act accordingly. If their actions are not satisfactorily to the chief executive, the governor also has it in his powers to act. After all, the governor may have affixed his signature to each of these leases, if not the addendums. Board and executive review and determination are what needs to happen. Should no executive action take place, legislative intervention may then occur. And he's suggesting that Senator Uggan continue with the oversight hearing with the Department of Public Works to talk about the oversights, if you will, in how we got to the land clearing without the appropriate permits, signatures, check marks and boxes, and all of that kind of thing. Because, for heaven's sakes, you try to put up a sign in this town, you better believe that they're going to be crawling through your paperwork, trying to make sure that you've got all of your check marks done and that you went to these guys and talked to those guys about the other and got a signature and had to stand in line over at the ITC building and all of that, just all of that stuff that you got to go through with this government permitting project that they managed to drop the ball on. So that, as I say, is the interesting thing, and somebody in some high authority has got to recognize that there have been some significant misstep statements taken, and if all they're going to be doing is requiring disclosure and saying, yeah, it's my brother's place, I'm still going to sign off on it, even though there are thousands of other people waiting for a shot at some property, can't do anything with the property they have because they haven't gotten the blessing of the land clearing. And how many of you land trust, how many of you Chamorro Land Trust recipients have got something in a ravine or on a cliffside or something like that, property you'll never be able to develop, ever, ever, ever. And then you see all of a sudden you get some fancy names of people that have got the connections, got the hookups, and all of a sudden they're getting property on Barragata Heights where on a clear day you can see Rhoda. It's true, and so somebody has got to use the word moratorium on any of that stuff. And I'll do it. Back me up. 888-8255 is the telephone number. Coming up next, Fox News Live. On the other side of that, Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all the big stories in today's Guam Daily Post. And then after that, who's that guy? Blake Watson going to come in. We might talk about some sporty things, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be a nice big half hour, 45 minutes in the next hour. I want you to stay right where you are on 93.3. And if you're listening on thepoint.gu, awesome. If you're on the Facebook Live thing, also awesome. Great to have you along for the ride. 888-8255 is the number. Call sign KUSG. Hagutnya. Website, thepoint.gu. Email address, raygibsonshow@gmail.com.
Files suit. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A father who lost his daughter in the mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, takes legal action against the school resource officer. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, Andrew Pollock lost his daughter Meadow at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. He says the suit is his way of getting justice.
The unmeasurable love I have for my daughter is empowering me to fight for her, and that's what my daughter would want.
The suit alleges Broward Deputy Scott Peterson could have stopped the shooting but failed to act. Pollock tells Fox's Neil Cavuto he wants to expose mistakes of that day.
I don't want this happening to another family or another school in the country.
And Pollock also names the shooter, Nicholas Cruz, and adults who've cared for Cruz in the suit. Lisa.
Gernal, the White House announcing a delay in implementing tariffs on imported steel and aluminum from the European Union, Canada, and Mexico for 30 days as negotiations continue.
We are extending those negotiations because we've seen some progress. I'm not going to get ahead of what that may look like, but we have 30 days to continue in those negotiations.
Spokeswoman Sarah Sanders. In about a half hour from now, 3 Republicans square off in West Virginia as they look to unseat Joe Manchin for his Senate seat. The top 3 candidates, Don Blankenship, Evan Jenkins, and Patrick Morrissey, go head-to-head.
Morrissey is accumulating out-of-town endorsements from the editors of the National Review, Senator Ted Cruz, and Senator Rand Paul, who will join Morrissey on the trail this week. The Mountain Families PAC has already spent $1.3 million on ads against Don Blankenship, who is still on probation after a year in jail for a misdemeanor conviction tied to the Upper Big Branch mine explosion that killed 29.
Fox's Peter Ducey. The primary is a week from today. Fox News, fair and balanced.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time isn't wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. EBA Bank Pacific.
A federal judge ordering Representative Doug Lamborn of Colorado be placed back on the Republican Party primary ballot. Last week, Lamborn was booted because one of the people who collected voter signatures for him didn't live in the state. Lamborn sued, and today a judge agreed. The primary is June 26th. Lamborn will face State Senator Owen Hill and former El Paso County Commissioner Darrell Glenn. As the weather gets warmer, bugs are back, and so are the diseases they can carry.
2 years ago, much of the world was gripped by the fear of Zika, carried by mosquito, which could cause birth defects. But insects that bite carry a number of different viruses, and if it seems more prevalent, it is.
Mosquitoes and ticks and infections are
moving into new areas nationwide.
Dr. Robert Redfield is the director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control.
A traveler can get infected from a mosquito-borne disease like Zika in one country and then return home now infected, which then puts other people at risk.
Redfield adds repellent is still a good idea. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Facebook getting involved in your love life.
Look out, Tinder. Facebook wants to help folks change their relationship status. CEO Mark Zuckerberg announcing an optional dating feature for non-friends on the mobile app. Folks can create a dating profile on the site, which current friends will not be able to see. Facebook will match users specifically with people they are not already friends with based on various preferences listed, things in common, and mutual friends. They'll also have the option to discover others with similar interests through their Facebook groups or events. Zuckerberg stressing the feature is going to be for building real long-term relationships, not just hookups, adding we're excited to start rolling this out soon. I'm Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Maker of the Gibson guitar has filed for bankruptcy protection after dealing with years of debt. The pre-negotiated reorganization plan will allow Gibson brands to continue operations. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
Do you suffer from eye strain? If you work at a computer, follow the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds to reduce eye fatigue. Ensure you have the optimal prescription for your contact lenses and glasses. Early stages of common eye diseases typically have no symptoms and can only be detected with a comprehensive dilated eye exam. Call Lombard Health today to book an appointment at 989-4747. Guam's best eye care. One patient at a time.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members. And our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Department of Land Management Director Michael Borja has instructed his staff to disclose any immediate familial relationships they may have with CLTC lease applicants by submitting a declaration in the applicant's file. Borja issued the instruction after learning that some land management employees and their relatives were issued $1 annual leases for 99 years to highly desirable lots in Barrigada Heights. Borja has said that he was unaware that his sister and the land administrator's daughter were among those with approved leases, but he pointed out that his sister and the others are qualified, and he's been open and hasn't withheld any information about those leases. In the wake of these recent reports of land management employees getting lots and unpermitted clearings and gradings in Barrigada Heights, Senator Frank Uggan Jr. has called for an oversight hearing for the Chamorro Land Trust Commission, but Senator Tom Atta, whose committee has oversight authority, has turned down that request. Uggan argues that applicants for CLTC properties who've been waiting for leases for more than 20 years must be reassured that the land leases are being distributed in a fair and sequential manner based on first-come, first-serve. However, Senator Atta has responded, saying that the CLTC commissioners should be given the chance to review and rectify any issues and concerns. He said the full board can order the administrative review of what went on and determine if there was any wrongdoing, and only then, if the board and the governor review the matter and no executive action takes place, then legislative intervention may occur, said Senator Atta. We'll have more news after this.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Hafa, my name is Jesse Cruz from the village of Maina, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Tanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
10 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. A bill transferring procurement authority for the reconstruction of Simon Sanchez High School from the Department of Public Works to the Guam Department of Education sailed through the legislature yesterday, winning easy passage by a unanimous vote of 14-0. Lawmakers approved the measure despite a last-minute note of caution from Senator Jim Espaldon, who warned the body that legal counsel had advised that passage of Bill 204 could lead to another legal challenge. The bill's sponsor, Senator Frank Uggan Jr., said those concerns were raised and answered during the 2.5 days spent in debate on the bill last week. The Simon Sanchez bill was one of 17 measures passed by the legislature yesterday. Among the others, Senator Joe San Augustine's bill to transfer land in Tidzin to the Barrigada Mayor's office for recreational purposes. The original measure would have transferred all 43 acres of Lot 19, but lawmakers approved a last-minute amendment proposed by Senator Therese Terlahi, limiting the transfer to just the Tidzin football field, the Tidzin maintenance building, upper and lower Tidzin softball fields, and the land presently occupied by the Carnival grounds. Senator Regine Bisco-Lee's bill nearly doubling the registration fee for non-immigrant foreign workers also was approved yesterday. It raises the current registration fee of $1,091 to $2,091. It applies only to the registration of those workers on federal construction projects. The fee to register contract workers on civilian projects will not be affected. Finally, among the nominations to boards and agencies that were approved yesterday was the appointment of Edward Byrne as Director of the Department of Administration. The vote was unanimous for Byrne, 14-0. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
Happy to do it. Partly cloudy skies today, Kev, with isolated showers. Winds east to about 20 miles an hour, decreasing a bit overnight. Highs 89 degrees and overnight lows of about 78 degrees. And we were looking a little bit earlier at the weather map, and let me put that back on the screen right now so that you can see it. And it doesn't look like there's a whole lot out there that is going to bring any other impact of weather to us today except just wind.
Yeah, that's about it. Maybe a few, lingering, scattered, very widely isolated showers. It's Guam. There's always a chance it's going to rain. That's what we can look forward to today. Yeah.
But I don't see anything happening
over there.
There's
not a whole lot there. Yeah, we're right in the fetch of the easterly trades.
But that means that this could be one of those sunshiny weekends, too.
It could very well be.
Another chance to iron out my tan. That's good. Look for high risk of rip currents along east-facing reef. Sunset tonight about 6:36 studio time. And the point is 8:12.
Did you know that dark beer helps your tan?
What's that?
Dark beer helps your tan.
I'll try anything.
Yeah, there
we go. Now, let's go.
The Smartphone Super Sale event is back at GTA. We're dropping our prices on our most popular smartphones, including the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 and the latest Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. Hurry in and save up to 60% off. These amazing deals won't last long, so come in and see us today. Conditions apply. Visit GTA.net for details. Offer ends May 31st. GTA, your island, your network.
It is not officially time for traffic, but I am looking at a line of traffic on Route 10 starting at about the Mangilau-Payless, and it doesn't look like it clears up until after you get to the intersection of that and Route 32. Wait a second. You know, just it's funny because this is real-time stuff, so it changed just as I was looking at it. So whatever is at the front of that now has cleared up. You still might expect a little bit of a traffic delay moving through the Payless area, but as soon as you're past Pizza Hut and then some, a little bit more over by the chicken place, as soon as you're done, not the KFC, the other chicken place, but as soon as you're past that, you should be in the clear. Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
Portions of the program also brought to you by Security Title. When you absolutely need confidentiality in your transactions, they're the guys to talk to.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any two toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out.
Looking for a bill here, looking for a particular bill here that I might be able to wrangle into a conversation about sports. And I think I'll find it in a second. I'll find it in a second. Then we can talk about what I consider to be the possibilities behind this particular piece of legislation that has in fact been approved by the legislature. And most of the bills passed yesterday, in my mind, are veto proof. So it might be one of those things where it doesn't matter how the governor feels about it. It's gonna happen because the legislature said it's gonna happen. But first, we got to make the introductions, ladies and gentlemen. 8:16. It's time for sports with Blake.
Every time I travel, there's something from home.
Did I mess
this
up there?
This computer just does what it wants. Let's try it like this.
Blaming the technology.
I've heard that before.
Let's try it like this. Yeah, it moved on me.
Sounds right.
And then it moved.
It's okay. It is time for Sports with Blake from Star 101's Morning Show. Good morning, Blake.
Good morning. What do you got? I've got a few local stuff, and also, I got a few local stuff. But first of all, I wanted to say this. I didn't sleep very well.
No, what happened?
Something weird, and I want to get y'all's take on this.
Okay.
Yesterday, leaving the grocery store near my home, and I'm driving through the parking lot. I have the right of way. There's a brand new white 4Runner with a paper license reversing out of one of the front spots.
Okay.
I am behind it, and I guess it doesn't see me, so it kind of almost like backs into me, and I have to like kind of swerve around it.
But you're in a huge truck. How did it not see?
Well, I don't know. It's in a huge SUV, and it looks like it's a paper license. So maybe whoever's driving this is.
You can put vehicles in your truck.
I know.
Okay.
I know, but I wonder if maybe they came from driving like a compact car and they upgraded, and they're not used to the anyway. And I'm going to tell on myself a little bit here. I was distracted driving a little bit, and I didn't even react. Normally, I would have, kind of honked a little bit, or I would have done something.
Korean hot pants?
Me?
No, I'm just saying what distracted you, because Korean hot pants every time.
No, I was hungry. and I was eating a full bag of Funyuns, like it was in between my legs. I just bought from the grocery store, and I couldn't wait, so I opened it. And so the reason I actually didn't honk or react at all is because my hand was in one hand on the wheel, one hand in a bag of Funyuns, so I couldn't honk anyway.
Totally understand.
So I said all that to say, I drive home, I look in the rear view, and never see that vehicle ever again. Don't think anything about it. So I pull into my garage, and my house ends in a cul-de-sac, and at the bottom of a hill.
And there was a bloody hook.
They followed you?
As I pulled into my garage, I look in my rearview mirror, and this same white 4Runner with the paper license is turning around in the cul-de-sac, and it leaves the cul-de-sac.
Oh!
Wow.
Yeah.
Now
I don't even know how it's...
Somebody followed you home?
Yeah. After I did nothing. After I did absolutely nothing. So,
so let me, 2 words. Castle doctrine.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the 2 words that you needed. The castle, and if that doesn't, if the guy calls you and you're on the other side of the sidewalk, bash him in the head and then drag him to the house.
Yeah, and I couldn't get a license plate because it was paper license. And I couldn't follow him because it was one of those deals where I was like, wait a second, is that? And by the time I realized it was already up the hill and gone.
Are you sure it was a him?
I'm not sure who it was.
See?
I'm not sure who it was.
What I'm going to speculate here is that it was actually one of your adoring fans from Star 101.
But then I thought, no, that would never happen.
No,
so I'll tell you this. So I didn't sleep very well because I was paranoid that somebody
radio stories. Trust me,
because I was afraid that somebody was going to come break in and get me in the middle of the night. So I did the Kevin McAllister from Home Alone defense.
Oh, okay.
I left all the lights on in the house all night long.
Nice.
So that way, if anybody,
that's why you couldn't sleep.
That's why. Well, yeah, that's why I couldn't sleep. I tried to sleep, but I left all the lights on. So that way, nobody wants to commit a crime for some reason in lights. So I thought that deterred them, and here I am.
So listen.
So what y'all think? Did somebody follow me home? Am I okay?
Yeah, that's it.
Castle doctrine is just you don't even have to buy the gun. Just get a couple of those Glock stickers.
Okay. Oh
right?
yeah, or keep honking, I'm reloading stickers. Or some stuff like
that kind of thing.
Okay.
Right.
He'd still be up all night waiting for the guy to arrive so he could.
I know. Yeah. So I could use it.
Need to say, never mind the dog.
Don't you see the sticker?
And I've got a pit bull who is a big, gentle, giant sweetie. But just for looks, I left her out. You know what I mean? Just left her loose in the front yard for the evening.
Yeah.
To deter any
the dog was up all night too.
Evildoers. Yeah, she was.
So you have to move.
I don't want to move. I've been there 8 years.
I'll give you Mo Cotton's phone number, and he'll find a spot for you.
We got ties to security titles.
So could you do me just a favor next time? Could you just incorporate somehow into your story something about Korean hot pants?
Sure.
Right? Because you see them. I mean, look, we work.
I was eating Korean
yards.
hot fries instead of
We're
Funyuns.
200 yards away from the intersection up Marine Corps Drive. You got all these Koreans that are walking up the thing, and they're going over to Mesclados or out to Kmart or wherever it is that they're going. And I don't know. You just know that there's a different fashion ethic with some of these tourists that are out there, and I. Certainly not complaining. I'm just saying that has got to have been the cause for more
distractive driving than phones.
Even bigger than cell phones, I'm sure of it. It's just people cruising by.
I've said for a while now because I was teaching.
I drive
Korean
with the foot on
kids.
the brake just in case. There's one now. There's one now.
Yeah. I was teaching English to Korean kids, and they are the pretty people of Asia. So that whole hot pants thing, yeah, they're digging it, man.
Yeah. So we need more flights from Korea. That's all I'm saying. 8:21 in the morning.
That's Gangnam style.
So do we have any? Is there sports today?
There is. Indy Royals all smiles after they beat up the Guam High Panthers in straight sets, 25-18, 25-19. They improved to 6-9 as they are battling the GW Geckos for playoff positioning here as the regular season wrapping up with just a few games left. The Panthers still looking for that first win at 0-15 this year. And then elsewhere, we have sending a young golfer, 15-year-old Guam Adventist Academy freshman. Hopefully I don't butcher your name, Miss Kana, K-A-N-A, Kana Kamamura Bangs will represent Guam in the Guam National Golf Federation at the 73rd U.S. Women's Open Championship sectional qualifying tournament in Japan on May 8th. She has been playing since she was 9. Just getting her into the tournament is a huge event, says her dad, Mr. Chris Bangs. Sectional qualifying events for the Women's Open take place at 25 courses, include 4 international sites over 16 days. So she had to qualify for that. She did. She's going over to Japan.
You know, one of my favorite features of the Guam Daily Post is they have a 5K update. And so it's Wednesday. People need to start thinking in terms of where they're going to be doing their training or where they're going to be doing their racing. The Sisters of Mercy have their 2K, 5K run walk at the Academy of Our Lady of Guam. Showtime 5:15. Go time is 6 o'clock. You can register at the Infant in Prague or Mercy Heights, or just, you know what, Sister will find you.
That's the Manahawk run that I was talking to you about yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the name of it? The Manahawk run?
The Manahawk run, yeah.
Okay, not the Sisters of Mercy 5K, 2K
they're the
run
ones who
walk.
are putting it on, yeah. But like the little flyer, they've got a nice little graphic, little Manahawk in swimming shorts, and he's running. So,
but like I said, Sister, if
get it, Manahawk, because it's for the little kids.
I got it. Sister will find you and all of that. So here's the story that comes from the legislature yesterday that has the potential to be a sports story, because yesterday the legislature passed by a vote of 12 to 2 nays an act to transfer administrative jurisdiction of portions of Lot Naval Air Station Agana to the office of the mayor of Barrigada for the purpose of providing needed recreational facilities. So you've got that on Route 16. You get the post office, then you've got the baseball field and the carnival lot area and the paintball place, and I think there's a football field down the other side with the big bench.
That'd be Tan Field.
I think so, yeah, and Mickle Tan's Field. So you've got all of that. So they're going to transfer that now to the Barrigada mayor, and they will administer it. Now I haven't had a chance to talk to neither Junie or Jesse about it, but I am kind of curious as to what their plans are, because if they do it wrong, it will turn into a slum, just like the old carnival area,
like
right?
the shanty
That's a
town.
shanty town that they put together that I hate. I hate.
I remember those shanty town days.
They should have just left it just grass and dirt, but somebody decided that they were going to build some stuff up there, and it looks like hell. And so I'm thinking, hopefully there's a way to fix that. And if all you're going to do is administer it, I would put together some mechanism for a public-private deal where you can get private organizations to come through and really doll the place up. I mean, really make it look spectacular. Kind of like every place else in the world.
Yeah, and kind of what they did up in Dedido, right? They took that big lot and they had the Dedido Sports Complex. They put a gym, and then, of course, GFA moved in. I know those are all three very different entities and governed by different sanctioning bodies. But yeah,
you get the idea. Because if we just leave it with the mayors, I mean, the place is going to be a shanty. It'll or continue to get worse.
You already have the
no
land.
confidence.
You already have the land. Yeah, just a nice, good sports complex. Would be good. Yeah, because there's a couple. You got the Dedido one, which it kind of goes through its issues, but it's still bumping and thriving. And you got the small Israel one, which it's but it's small, but it's still nice. It's got the soccer field, it's got the pool. So yeah, I think a centrally located.
If all they did was just say, listen, I know Blake and Mike and Ray and Kevin, they've got them some great ideas, and we'll find the capital. We'll put the capital together, and we will lease it to you, or lease it from you, and we'll put together great looking tennis courts, great looking soccer facilities, great looking swimming facilities, or whatever it is that we're going to do with it, right? And we'll charge admission for all of these things, and from whatever the profits are, we give that back to the mayors.
Right, and it's just maybe there's a simple answer for this, and I just don't know it. But it's a shame. Like, open that up to to Teedson. I mean, why can't that be Teedson's field too? Teedson's complex as well, because their high school's right there, and they don't play their football team doesn't play on that football field.
It looks like it's far away, but it really isn't. It's just behind where the gym is.
As
the crow flies.
As the crow flies, right?
I'm just saying, I like the idea, and it's in the municipality of Barrigada, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to always be something that the mayor is going to do. Let the mayor just lease that stuff out, give it to a private company, let the private company do all of the things that it wants to do with the sports complex, and we'll share the revenue with the mayor's office, and then every village is going to want to do something along the same lines. I think that's the way that needs to go. So
I think so too. Maybe open up the tri-intersection too. Make that a quad intersection.
There's an idea. Somebody's had an idea about that I'd seen on Facebook yesterday. Not the tri-intersection, but the Paseo Stadium area, and maybe time has passed for that to be the Paseo. For baseball, take that, move it someplace else. Invisible hand if you want to, private sector if you want to, and then use that area as kind of a central EPAL Beach Park. I don't know. There's a bunch of people that have got different ideas on what can and can't have been done with that property, but they've all been interesting to talk about. And then somebody will always say, "Well, it's not really the government of Guam. There's part of that. A big chunk of it still belongs to the Navy." So there. 8:27 in the morning. Got anything else?
No.
Okay. So
I'm afraid of running out of time.
No,
Babe Ruth's bat sold for $200,000.
Really?
From a season. Yeah. Well, it's a bat he used during 1929 and the 1930 seasons. It sold for $200,000. Unclear which game it was, so I guess the paper trail's not really there. However, the season that he played with that bat, he himself only made $35,000 that season, and the bat sold for $200,000. So I have that.
Yeah, they didn't make a whole lot for playing back then.
I guess not. Okay, so we were talking about the very interesting case of Derek Baza Hills, who said, "I couldn't have been me that got $40 from that Korean lady in that little scam because I was taking care of family at Guam Memorial Hospital, right? And then once he was arrested, sang. Just I admit it. Yes, that was me. I'm the guy that did that.
He must have a big family because he's always using family members as excuses and their health for their excuses to get out of.
When you're facing a real police officer, I guess you have to fess up.
So the question of he's been busted for impersonating a police officer, peace officer, right? So that's the charge, and booked and confined. I understand.
I don't know.
I think that's what I read.
That's what
I was BNC.
I read that earlier.
So you might be wondering, so there's an additional charge. I think there's an additional charge that they can put.
I think so.
Lying on Facebook.
Lying on Facebook.
You're not supposed to lie on Facebook, right?
So I guess under the
just wondering what the penalty for something like that's going to be.
So 2022, it'll be Torres Hills under the synthetic vote. That'll be the.
There's a new party.
There you go.
That's it. 8:29 in the morning. Blake, you better get out of here.
I better. Hopefully nobody else follows me home. Just don't pay attention to the guy with the big beard and the giant white truck.
All right. I'll talk to you pretty soon here. That's Blake Watson from Star 101. My name is Ray Gibson. I work over here on the Point 93.3. It's 8:30. Coming up next, how about Kevin Kerrigan and some headlines after these.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Everything down at Route 10 clear up? Yeah, it looks like everything is clear. There might be some lingering traffic through Route 10 as you make your way towards 8, 10, and 16. No major issues there. Into and out of the Guam International Airport, a couple of those roadways are experiencing a little bit of a buildup. And right here in front of the Kmart Choice Broadcasting Empire and DPW entrance, you might see a few extra cars lined up at the light, waiting for it to turn green and go. But that's it, baby. That's all I'm seeing in terms of radical traffic this morning. That's right now traffic on the Point.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with Typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
And my buddy Jonathan Bullwinkle asked the question, will that mean they put in roads that will go into that area from Route 16 rather than having to drive all the way to the one good entrance in Tiedzin? I hear you, John. You know, there's a bunch of guys that have taken matters into their own hands and found ways to peekaboo from Route 16 over a piece of dirt road and then in between some of these poles that they put down there as barricades, and that's how they're getting into it. I'd obviously like to see something like that. I think there's got to be a way, and I don't understand how the mechanism isn't there yet, where at the intersection where the post office is, you should be able to make a turn into where the post office is and maybe along into the Tiedzin area, and probably has everything to do with the
federal property.
The federal property. Well, you know what? Let's do some net negative and find the admiral and say, unless there's a really good reason, unless there's a really, really good reason why we can't do it. And I know there's a pipeline there, but my understanding was when they redug the holes for the pipeline, they probably would have done it so that it would be able to handle regular traffic going through there.
You can always call up DPW and just ask them to clear it.
So what I want DPW to do, and I've told you, you've been in the studio with me when I've asked Glenn, is if you are on Route 10, you can either turn right or turn left. But if you look straight ahead of you, you're in between. You got the Shell station over here, you got the 76 station over there, right? If you look straight ahead, there's a road that will take you into Teason from right there. But they've never...
Yeah, as Blake said, turn the Tri into the Quad intersection.
Why not? It looks like something, frankly, that guys from DPW could knock out over a weekend with a case of beer, right? We'll start on Saturday morning. We'll go in with the jackhammers. We'll get the cold patch and the hot patch in there, and then bang, and then the rest of it is just signalization. Right, but if you're already turning left, that means that you can go straight too. So it feels like a no-brainer, and I don't understand why we had to put up with the Happy Mart intersection, but not involve that one. That's all I'm saying here. 8:33 now. This is the Ray Gibson Show, and as a highlight of the program, we feature news from the Guam Daily Post, as read by Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Daily Post this morning. The Airport Authority Board of Directors approving an interim deal with Lotte Duty Free to allow the retailer to remain in place for the time being in the wake of a Superior Court order voiding the duty-free concession agreement between the two parties. The airport, in a release, says the agreement ensures that the retail services Lotte provides to the traveling public will continue, at least for now. The agreement follows mediation conducted by attorney Fred Horecki and was entered into by the two parties to address the uncertainty created by the Superior Court's order voiding and setting aside the Lotte concession agreement. The airport has appealed the trial court's decision to the Guam Supreme Court. After publicly saying he was being framed, 30-year-old Derek Baza Hills was arrested yesterday on allegations that he impersonated a police officer. A Korean tourist reported to airport police Sunday that she was pulled over in Inarahan over the weekend by an individual who she identified as Hills. A photo taken by the tourist showed a man holding a Parks and Rec badge and a U.S. passport card with Hills' picture on it. Tourist complained and complied with the man's demand for $40 and snapped a picture of him holding the badge and his ID card. According to court documents, when he was interviewed by police, Hills admitted to the allegations. He's now facing allegations of impersonating a police officer, theft by deception, and theft by threatening. Federal indictment against Vicky Ling Ramonica Terry Gallo was unsealed in district court yesterday. Indictment handed down by a federal grand jury on April 11th, but kept confidential until yesterday. Terry Gallo is facing an allegation of drug user in possession of a firearm and ammunition. Terry Gallo was arrested Monday and appeared before Magistrate Judge Joaquin Manabusan and pleaded not guilty. She was placed in federal custody. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I'm tantalized. I've been provoked again by Blake. He got something in my head. The team of Torres and Hill for governor, or Hill and Torres for governor. All right, I'm not good enough at this. I'll tell you right now. So I'm going to be counting on you, listeners of The Point, listeners of the Ray Gibson Show. If there was to be a matchup between Troy Torres, Derek Baza Hills for the position of governor and lieutenant governor, what would their slogan be? Could you? Facebook Live, FB Live, right? That's where you find me, or email raygibsonshow@gmail.com. You know you want to do it. It's 8:37. That's iConnect time. iConnect wants you to connect longer for less with their incredible push-to-talk and mobile plans.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
Romy says I can use the poll on the website. Come on, Romy, you're better at this than I am, and you know you want to do it. I guarantee. Okay, here's a prediction I'm going to make. Guam Blog, right? Romy's saying Guam Blog is going to have today a mock-up of the Derek Baza Hills and Troy Torres running logo, and he's man, I can hardly wait to see it. Come on. Do it now. Just thumb it out. Send me a picture. 8:38 in the morning, and I forgot what I was supposed to be doing. Oh yeah, traffic. That's the music behind me. Listen, it's all settled. We're finished with traffic. It's 8:37, and even the second string guys are going. It's a breeze getting to where I am. I need to go. All of the heavy stuff on 10 and 16 and 1. That's all taken care of. So enjoy the drive, arrive alive. That's right now. Traffic on the point.
So you want to buy a house, but you don't know how much you could borrow. So what do? Well, you come to Bank Pacific and get pre-qualified. Sit down with one of our home loan specialists and let us see how much we can lend you so you know how much you can spend on your new home. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, conditions apply. Come pre-qualify today.
What happened? What's the news today? Tenorio dismisses former AIDS corruption allegations. Yeah, of course he did. You know what? And I just say that's got folks in a little bit of a quandary here, because there are some folks that how do I want to say this? Dislike Ray more than they dislike Troy, but they don't like really either of them, and they, while they're enjoying watching Troy squirm, they realize that some of the things that he's dropping about Ray Tenorio are just too provocative. You want to like it, but you don't want to like the source. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're going to see some interesting back and forth on the social medias on all of that stuff. Yeah. What's the slogan here, guys? Romy's asking online because Romeo is going to today. He's putting the artwork together now for the campaign posters for Troy and Derek, the team of Hills and Torres, or Torres and Hills. Now, and Romy, just another design point that I would encourage here: have them run under the Republican banner, if you don't mind. Have them run under the Republican banner, and I'll tell you why. And this one here is almost serious. Go ahead and turn the music down. This one here is almost serious. There are people I know, because I talk to them. And we start talking about the primary election. And they go, wow, I got the 4 guys over in the Democratic side. And I say, yeah, and there's only one team running on the Republican side. And they say, well, what do we do about that? And well, I said, obviously somebody's going to come out and run. And they always ask me, they say, Rick, because they think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to politics. I'm no better at the speculation game than you are. I don't even know too much. Yeah, Romy, I was saying, have them run into the Republican banner. Anyway, so I'm not any better at the predictions. I'm not any better at reading polls than most guys are. I think I've got a sense. There were some people that were early on talking about trying to get Kaleo Moylan and Mike Cruz to run. And these guys, both of them, were former lieutenant governors in the first and second Camacho administration. And I think both of them still have, I think, a pretty big account when it comes to political capital. And the guy says, well, who's pushing that idea? And I said, I am. And it's not like I'm actively pushing for it, but golly, sometimes you got to have a response in a conversation, and that's always my response in the conversation. Who's the one that's pushing that idea of these 2 old lieutenant governors that are going to be running it? Now, I will push this, and anybody that knows me knows that among my favorite things to do is when it gets to be time for the election, primary election, general election. I like to be one of the guys at the radio station, right? And you take somebody like Mike. When it gets to be inclement weather, he loves that stuff. I tell you what, if the wind starts blowing any harder than about 41 miles an hour here, I won't be able to keep Michael Knight away from the radio station, right? He's got all the education, he's got all the tips, he's got all the tools, online sources to be able to make his own predictions on what may or may not be happening with the weather, and at least be able to have intellectual conversations with the weather guessers when we call them over at the National Weather Service, right? So it's the same thing. When it gets to be time for elections, I'm the guy that likes to be in the radio station, but I don't like to be alone. I like to be able to bounce off the conversations. And this year in particular, there's so many opportunities for people that are not going to be running for office and people that have held office that don't necessarily have any dogs in the hunt right now. So, I'm going to say it right now, and I think I've got enough assurances from these guys to say, yeah, maybe we can do this, is I'd like to get Robert Underwood in the studio, and he would sit where Kevin sits, and then we'd have former Governor Felix Camacho on the other side, and he would sit where Blake sits, and we just have this round table, just this little political shark pit between the two of them, and based on their experiences, and based on what they know about the current political angle, I think the conversations would just be just righteous. And then you got the other part, the other dynamic in this is that Uncle Robert ran twice against Felix Camacho and lost both times. But I think, quote, we're all friends. So I think that would make for an interesting dynamic in the conversation. Now, whether it'll happen, I don't know. There's still time between here and there. For heaven's sakes, we still got to whittle it down from, 59 people that have picked up packets or had packets picked up for them so that they can become senators in the upcoming 35th Guam legislature. And that's fascinating. I'm sure that the numbers have been higher than they are now. And maybe it goes back to primary elections that we used to have back when the body was composed of 21 senators, right? They changed that a few years ago and went down to 15. And we were supposed to save all kinds of money, and it was going to be a more efficient, blah, 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 blah process. At the end of the day, would also advocate for, this is another one of this Ray Gibson's platforms, right? I would advocate for a part-time legislature, but a return to 21, right? Part-time legislature, so we don't need all of the people in the building at the same time, flushing the toilet and having to have butlers that do nothing but bring them water at the whatever. So I'd like to take it back to 21. And people go, why would you want 21, Ray? Why do you want 21? And the simple answer is this. I believe that 15 is too much of a concentration of power. And a lack of a diversity of voice. Pretty soon everybody starts to look and sound the same, right? And I think if we had a body of 21 people, can you imagine the diversity? Can you imagine because you're going to get 10 or 11 or 12 mainline down the middle politicians, right? But then you've got the opportunity to because we've got so many guys in there, you'd get another 7 or 8 folks that just represent the fringe.
Well, and imagine the little cliques of like 3 or 4 that'll gather together on certain issues. That's just how it goes. Now, are you talking full-time or part-time?
No, part-time, because I still want to control the costs of it, and I want to make it so that we're a body that doesn't just generate BS bills and resolutions all the time. I said BS. I was just wondering, how is that going to be different than right now? Well, how is it going to be different? Yeah. Because you're part-time, and so you can generate the bills, but not all of them will get the same kind of attention that they do in a full-time legislature where, that's the job now is how do we get the optics in? How do I make it so that I'm on the floor of the legislature? Is the camera on me, Ryan? Is it on me? Mr. Speaker, many loods and many now. Por favor, Mr. Speaker. You get into no. It's a little bit more. I don't know. It's we need some. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh yeah, I don't have that.
Hey, Chris, on the line here, talking about. I agree, bringing it back to 21. And here's another example of it. I'm trying to remember if Angel Santos was part of a 21-person legislature. I think he was initially, and then they changed. I'd have to do some research, but I don't know that in this day and age where we've got cookie-cutter politicians that are mostly down the middle, but not necessarily on the fringy side. I don't know that we'd see another politician like an Angel Santos coming through, right? I don't know that there would be another along those lines with that kind of pedigree, those kinds of credentials to come through. Because, everybody wants the safe 15. But if we got 21, dude, Then you get the raving marijuana guys, right? You get those guys in there. You get the nationalists. You get the ones that that might be looking at statehood or whatever. When we're talking about that kind of, you might even get somebody, and I'll say his name because he's I respect this guy, I love this guy. He's a good friend of the family and made for a very, very interesting legislature years ago. You get guys like Jim Miles. Jim Miles is the reason why there is a rule that you can't bring a firearm in the legislature, right? I'm just saying, it's the politics of personality, right? But can you imagine? And so a body of 21, part-time, there'd be room for Carl. Right? Somebody that doesn't necessarily have, the mainline politician cred.
Yeah, Ray, I was listening to your comments about bumping it back up to 21, and I'd be against that. I did some research, several years ago. At the time, Phoenix, Arizona was an extremely well-run city. It was doing very well economically, and it was being run by an 8-person city council. And that's a very large city. And there are many, cities like that are run by city councils, and we're talking like, over 1 million people. So I don't think there's any magic in bumping it up to 21. There was a senator, many years ago, I won't mention her name, but she was seriously would like to see the local legislature having 100 senators. So you can obviously take that a little too far.
And obviously I wouldn't go with 100, and we've had 21, and that was provided for us by the Organic Act and our white fathers in the land of the tall Quonset hut. So it would not be a stretch. And as I say, I'm not necessarily thinking in terms of government efficiency other than putting the hard rail of part-time on this. I want to be able to disrupt the massive power that sometimes you get when you've got a relatively small body. And this one here would be smaller than 21, obviously. And so, number one, it would be disruptive to the power balance of the current 15-member structure. But it's the diversity of voice that I'd like to hear. The diversity of concepts. We got these speeches that get made when it comes time to pass legislation here, and they always feel like they are crafted for maximum potential with of getting requoted in the newspaper, or that's the soundbite that we're going to run on KUAM. And all I'm saying is I'd like to get some hellraisers in there again. I'd like to get some people out on the edge, and I will admit in front of God and everybody that I am making this with my own best intentions in mind, right? Because these people, we add another 7 crazy senators to the legislature, I could do a 5-hour show. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And
it's the same reason why I want Doug Moylan back at the Attorney General's office. That guy was good for headlines. Doug Moylan at the AG's office is the same as Donald Trump and Twitter.
Yeah, I think that the main thing we've got to concentrate on is getting the quality of the legislators up to where it needs to be. And I think the way to do that is with what I call a focused legislature, because they would be forced to attend to critical issues and not have so much time on their hands that they could wander off into all kinds of, countless resolutions and, all these things that really don't really accomplish anything.
No, I hear what you're saying. And Sister Shelley's online saying, get rid of the historic number of punks and posers, no more certificates and resolutions pandering for votes. I get that. I don't know how you're going to ever get rid of that kind of thing. That's why we get to vote every 2 years. And whenever they start talking about staggering the vote for certain senators, I bite through a piece of rebar. It sounds silly in my mind. Or taking it and saying, okay, we'll go from a 2-year term to a 4-year term. No, we're not going to do that. I'm the voter. I'm saying I need to be able to edit you guys every 2 years. But as I say, for me, it's a question of diversity. And if we've got more people that are in there with a diversity of voice, with a diversity of important topics and important issues for everybody, as opposed to, you take a look at everything that they voted on just yesterday. How many of these measures are going to be meaningful in another 6 months?
Yeah, exactly. You get the quality of legislators up, and the quality of legislation will go up. I think the part-time legislature really is, and I prefer to call it the focused legislature. Part-time sounds kind of, it doesn't sound as serious as it really is, but it would open up the field to many, many more people that are extremely accomplished. They have successful careers. They're tremendously
well, give me an example. Pick a name. Just grab a name out of the air.
Well, the favorite example I've always had, and he's kind of, he's not going to run for governor or senator again, as I found out, is Bob Klitsky. He did a great job. He ran a very low-cost office. He had. His first term, he had 2 people in his office. His second term, he had 3.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
No, I knew him. I know some of the people that worked in his office. No, pick somebody else. Pick a name off the list of chamber guys.
Gosh, there's just so many possibilities. People that are highly accomplished.
Well, but here's the point that I'm going to make, and this is the magical moment, is you weren't able to pick out a name because none of these guys have got a whole lot of politician mainstream name recognition. But they still have good ideas. They could serve if it was a part-time legislature. But it's hard for them to punch through, the manufactured and sterile, and we take every step the way it's supposed to be taken. I was I'm a director here, a deputy director there in this administration, and now all of a sudden the signs start popping up, and you follow, for lack of a better word, the Roy Respicio route, right? Where you start off at where was he? Not DepCorp. What's the one for kids? DYA, right? So so DYA, and he gets some notoriety there, and he's in the headlines, and we're talking. The same thing they tried with Chris Duenas, and we're successful with Chris, right? So they crafted these candidates for this full-time job. But I'm saying is you got people that are capable of service, want to serve, want to get involved, but they don't have that name. They don't have 4 years to plunk into administration and go from one director position to another, get groomed for the position, and then run in the next election. You take a look at the 59 people that we've got. How many of them how many of them are in exactly that mold that I'm talking about right now? Where it's clear that they're being groomed so that they might be able to take on some of these roles, get some. Kate Baltazar, a good example, right? And I love Katie. I've known Katie for years, right? And so here she is, and she's done some work over at the Department of Corrections, and today we're going to send her over to start her new job over at KGTF, and she's running for office, and she's done her soldiering in this administration. And the reward might be enough name recognition through this political path, to the legislature. But not everybody has got the time to be able to punch out of their private sector job and work for a couple of years in the administration and follow that path. That's why I'm thinking 21 part-time will open it up to as many people as possible. And, yeah, you're going to get the manufactured ones, but the door will be open a little bit wider for people that aren't of that manufactured political class.
Yeah, as people are voting, in the past I've been caught up, in the usual things, looking at the signs and the slogans and all this stuff. This year is going to be very different for me because I'm going to be seriously looking at what people have actually accomplished. When an employer hires someone for a job, especially nowadays, they're more and more they're starting to look at. I'm not so much interested in your past positions you held. But what did you actually do? What did you do to grow revenues? What did you do to cut costs for the company you worked for or the agency or you were in? I'm not so much looking for their titles and their placeholder positions they had, what did they actually accomplish? And I think we need to look as voters at candidates as employees that we are in the process of hiring, and that's the most important thing. What did they actually accomplish in their past positions? Never mind about the titles. What did you actually do in your either public or private organization that you're with? That's what I'm going to be focusing on this time around.
Now, you keep a tight focus on that, and I will expect reports from you as we get past the deadline here between, what is it, June the something and the primary election, because that's when we'll be able to figure out who has got the stones to make decent senators and who's going to survive that first lead. Anyway, I'm going to let you run. I'll talk to you pretty soon. All right, Carl?
Thank you very much, Ray. Ray, just one last comment.
Yes.
I'm going to be listening to your show, and I'm going to be talking to many other people, Bob Klitsky, your sister Shelley, Ken Leon Guerrero, and all these people that are very savvy about the candidates, and talking to them about who are the achievers in this group, not just the people with the nice slogans and the nice signs, but who has actually accomplished stuff and can get in there and do stuff for the people of Guam. Anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you entrusting me with your attention to these things. So the caller is basically, I won't tell you who's writing it, but it's somebody that has their eye on political office. So the caller is basically saying people like me shouldn't run. He wants to see accomplishment is the point. I don't know that he was saying that people from outside of the political arena should not run, and that's exactly the opposite of what I'm saying. I want people from way outside the political arena to run. People. I want, your accomplishments might be just that your ideas are so crazy, but not crazy enough that they haven't put you away for them, right? And they're compelling and they're interesting, and they will make for great talk radio, if not great additions to some of the measures that need fighting over at the legislature, as opposed to just people looking at their texts and their WhatsApps the entire time that the legislature is in session. Nothing ticks me off more than that. Leave the phones outside. As far as I'm concerned, any communications with you while you are on the floor should be disclosed to the public. We're KUSG Hagutnya. It's time for Fox News.
A battle for the Senate. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 3 Republicans going head-to-head in a debate tonight for a chance to unseat Democrat Senator Joe Manchin in West Virginia, a state that President Trump won handily in 2016. Fox's Steve Rappaport has more live.
Lisa, Congressman Evan Jenkins says he's a true outsider who can drain the swamp.
I'm up in Washington actually working with President Trump. I have been fighting the establishment.
Former State Attorney General Patrick Morrissey painting Jenkins as a liberal in conservative clothing.
If you go Obamacare, checkbox, he supported. Hillary, he rallied for Hillary.
And former Massey Energy CEO Don Blankenship says he's fit for office despite his criminal past.
That plea bargain during the trial would have been admitting that the miners did not do their job.
Blankenship served a year in prison in connection with a 2010 mine explosion that killed 29 workers. Lisa?
Steve, one of the parents of a student who died in the school massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, suing the school resource officer. Andrew Pollack tells Fox's Neil Cavuto Scott Peterson is not telling the truth.
They have him on the radio saying the shots are coming from the 1200 building. So he backtracked after he found out they had video.
17 people were killed in the shooting. Peterson resigned from the Broward County Sheriff's Department. The state of California leading the charge in a suit against the EPA over emission standards.
17 states and D.C. are joining the suit. California, which gets a waiver and an ability to set stricter standards, is now suing.
States representing 140 million Americans are joining together to sue outlaw Pruitt.
Governor Jerry Brown said they allege the EPA's decision was arbitrary and capricious. He said we need to be moving toward zero-emission vehicles.
If America can't do it, I believe China and other countries will.
Last month, Pruitt said the Obama administration made assumptions about vehicle standards that were...
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal, fair and balanced.
How about when we lend you money for your home, we pay for your appraisal? That's right. When we make you a loan, we'll pay for the actual cost of your standard appraisal up to $1,500. Add that to our super low rates and you'll see why so many people are coming to Bank Pacific for their home loan. So join them by joining us, Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, Where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
The deadline fast approaching for President Trump to make a decision on the Iran nuclear deal.
White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders gave further indications that the president is prepared to pull the U.S. out of the Iran nuclear deal. She also explained that a statement which said Iran has, rather than had, a robust nuclear weapons program was simply a clerical error.
We think the biggest mistake that was made was under the Obama administration by ever entering the deal in the first place. The typo that you referenced was noticed, immediately corrected.
Europe is trying to save a deal signed in 2015 under which the U.S. and other powers agreed to lift some economic sanctions in return for Iran agreeing to rein in its nuclear program. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
The National Institutes of Health looking for 1 million people willing to share their DNA and 10 years of health habits. Researchers hope to learn why some escape illness and others don't, and better customize to prevent and treat disease. In time for Mental Health Awareness Month, the NBA has unveiled a new public service announcement in their effort to encourage mental wellness.
There'll be rivals on the court for an upcoming playoff series, but Cleveland Cavaliers forward Kevin Love and Toronto Raptors swingman DeMar DeRozan are speaking out in a powerful PSA released by the NBA.
I think everyone walks around with something that you can't see. We all go through it. I don't care who you are.
The 30-second PSA entitled Mental Health Matters will run through the NBA playoffs on multiple networks. The piece is meant to encourage everyone to ask for help and let them know they are not facing a mental burden alone. The PSA and the association's efforts come after Love, in a piece for the Players Tribune, disclosed his battle with panic attacks. He was motivated by DeRozan speaking at length about his struggles with depression just weeks prior. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
The Tony nominations are out. The musicals Mean Girls and SpongeBob SquarePants, each with 12 nominations. The Tonys will be handed out June 10th. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
What do you keep pointing at me for? Oh, I'm supposed to talk about portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant. I don't know why they have locks on the door there at King's Restaurant. Seems to, because they don't close. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They get 40 years worth of 24/7 serving favorites to you and your family.
So if you're out partying, you should have your designated driver swing you by before going home.
Just whatever. Just hobble your way into King's. It's the way it's people. You go. It's just 2 o'clock in the morning. This is the way it used to be. Huh? Right. We would, and there's people on the Facebook Live that are all of a sudden going to panic, thinking I'm going to mention their name. But this is the way it used to work. We'd go and just get drunk as skunks at places like Kicks and Chamarita Lounge, Jimmy D's Chamarita Lounge and Discotheque, because he had a club before he had the beach bar, right? Years and years ago. Yeah. Oh man, it was great. Because some nights it was there'd be girl fights, and some nights it would be like race riots, but the music was always top drawer. I just got to tell you that right now.
That brings it in.
So and then there was Captains and Lights and all of these other places. And you get just drunk, and then you show up at King's, and a bowl of Simon at King's. That's in many cases, that's all it took. And you could be sober enough to make it to church in the next morning. Okay, that's a complete and total fabrication. That could never possibly happen. I remember one night, and I'll mention his first name, Ernie and I. were partying in Tucumán, and so we showed up at King's, and back in, they used to have at the counter of the old King's, they used to have all of these tourist brochures, and so I thought I'd play host, and I grabbed a stack of these and I start handing them to all of the customers in King's, and so Ernie's walking behind me, picking them up, and saying, "Never mind him, just I need that back. That's $1 each. Could I just take that? Come on, man, let's have some fun." 7 after 9 or something like that. See, that's why when people say, "Ray, you need to run for political office," and that's why I would not make the first Chris Barnett reports. Right? They just start looking at my history, look at the things that I'm alleged to have done, and the things that I've actually done. And frankly, the things that I've allegedly done make it easier for me to get away with the things that I've really done. But my point is that's why I can't run. But I can do this. I can do this for sure. Anyway, 6 after. Be right back.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Can you remember the career advice your high school guidance counselor gave you? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we look at how this works.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
Oh, we're back. All of a sudden. Here I am. I'm
Just real quick.
I'm goofing off talking about ancient Ray Gibson history.
See, that's why I point at you.
Thanks, appreciate it. You need to give me the point that says, okay, we're going to start talking again. You've got 55 minutes to fill. What are you going to talk about, Kib? And it all can't be going to party at 10-4 in the Reef Hotel. And then showing up at King's Drunk.
It's your show.
It could be. So I could go back. I could go back to the conversation and start mentioning names, Eric Palacios, of what we were talking about before. Like I said, I wish you could see and maybe we'll do that, because after Kevin is gone, we don't do a whole lot in the 9 o'clock hour. We got all these cameras, and everybody says, well, what's Mike do? My job is to make Mike laugh. That's there's information, there's entertainment, there's the passing along of brilliant ideas and complex issues and complex competition, and sorry, that's word vomit all of a sudden. But anyways, so there's that, and then there's I need to make Mike laugh hard at least once a day. I usually try to wait until he's got the coffee cup right there.
Yeah, that has happened. I would like to make you feel better about it, but frankly, I have an IQ of about 47, so making me laugh is
very easy. Okay, got it. Okay, so going back on the commentary, the last hour of the program, last 20 minutes, I don't know, is stepping deep into the stream of consciousness, which is my way of saying I didn't actually script it out. It's just something that popped into my head about the lack of diversity of thought, I think, over at the legislature. And it's not, an indictment. If you want it to be, it can be. Not necessarily an indictment of the people that we have that are in office right now. It's just that, you think about how everything is about optics and everything is about, what's the press release going to look like, phrases that can be used as sound bites in the evening news and in the newspaper the next day, all of that stuff, as opposed to, wow, let's really get some crazy guys in there. And start talking about ways that we can get away from almost this nanny state mentality that we have. I've told you, if it did come down to bullets and somebody was able to convince me that I needed to run for political office, my slogan would be "Make Guam Guam again." Right? What have we got to do to make Guam Guam again? This place has changed since I was a little boy. And it's not just me being, old and stubborn and filled with nostalgia, but, man, we used to be way less uptight about stuff when I was growing up. When, when it was okay. But nobody had a problem with if you were out partying all night long and found yourself over at King's. And we didn't need anybody to make laws that said you can't drink any more beer after 2 o'clock in the morning and we have to close the bar. And we didn't. Everybody had somebody that would look out for them. Right? Everybody had somebody that would look out for them and say, okay, you know what, I think you've had too much to drink, so I'm going to take you home. And there'd be a little bit of an argument, but eventually somebody'd get in the car. And then for somehow that stopped. I don't know what happened to the generations that ensued, but that kind of stopped, and people got killed. So you can see where there was this need to put together this nanny state, right? And is another example of how things changed. And I'm a former smoker, and I remember when you could smoke in the doctor's office. For those of you that stand in line at the bank every once in a while, if you look at those steel stanchions next to you, you'll see a hole at the top with about a 3/4-inch thread on it. You know what that was for? It was for an ashtray. That was what there were little holes there, and they put ashtrays, and you could stand in line, smoke cigarettes at the bank. Now, maybe the smokers abused the privilege. I don't know. Maybe people just got too sensitive in the nose all of a sudden. But then they said, okay, no more smoking inside. And you go, yeah, I guess I can deal with that. Right? And then they said, well, you're outside, but you know what? You're too close to the door. So go stand anywhere but here by about 20 feet. And everybody said, yeah, just it feels so, I don't know, just felt so uptight. Even, it's like you won, and then you just kept winning. And now they're going to make it so you can't smoke in your own car and just all of this other nonsense. Like I said, it just feels like a more uptight place. And I want to bring Guam back to where it was before. And that's, ingraining some responsibility in people. That's all I'm saying. And I'm sure if you thought about it, you would see other places, other ways that we are uptight about stuff. And you'd like to go back to the way it was, in the very least, like it was in, pick a year. What's a good year? You know what? I'm going to say about 1977.
That's
right?
exactly the year I was going to say.
77, 78, somewhere between the bicentennial and, I don't know, my senior year in high school. Somewhere between.
I think it was cooler everywhere at that point.
Right?
That was right on the
totally
cusp.
Less uptight.
Yeah.
And we just it was Carter and going into Reagan, and I felt that vibe over the weekend. Albert Wan from Next Door, there was a fundraiser for his son who had a bad crack up, right? And so everybody met up at Mosa's on Sunday afternoon, right, about 2:00, and they had this groovy band that was playing. And it wasn't massive speaker system. It wasn't concert, but there were guys that know how to do concert sound that went there with their equipment, and as far as I know, no charge, and set up the mics and the speakers and the monitors and all of this stuff. And these bands sounded great. And they did this thing where everybody got on their skateboards and their bikes, and they did kind of a little jog around the capital city. And they closed the road and everything. Sweet. And to the degree that it felt like the 70s, because I didn't see anybody being uptight about anything. I didn't see people foaming at the mouth about whether or not the kids had helmets on or whether they had any, knee pads and shoulder pads and all of that stuff. And everybody seemed to look the other way when most of the bike riders got on the roads without helmets. It felt all of a sudden real groovy. And so I stayed a little longer than I wanted to, than I had allotted for myself, because I was just having a good time with that particular vibe. And I'd love to be able to see us head back into a time when it was I don't know, more like that. CB radios, fly kites at the park, and do all of those kinds of things that we used to do before we got so uptight. Anyway, a couple of other things from the Facebook Live. Brad says, moving back to 21 would create a circus worse than we have now, rather than a group of studious lawmakers intent on making Guam a better place to live. Brad, did you miss the part where I said I was doing this for me? Did you miss the part where I said I'm doing this because I want to get some crazy whacked out dudes in there that will create? You know what I want? I want another Matt Rector. You don't know Matt Rector, but Matt. Yeah. Matt was a union guy. Mm-hmm. And he made for some very interesting times over at the legislature. And he was one of these guys, he'd go and raise hell down there. And trust me, it's from conservative liberal, we did not agree on many things. But it didn't make any difference, because he'd go down there, raise hell. I'd call him up on the radio, and we'd do 20 minutes on just raising hell. And it was a fun conversation. And I'm not telling you that it was the best thing that ever happened to politics on Guam, but it was good for me.
Well, you've got to open people's eyes. I mean, it's the whole, one of the purposes of a legislature. I typed in something earlier.
Where?
Because, I'm still kind of new here. Why is this legislature, why are all the positions at-large positions? See, in a democracy, by definition, your legislators, those in power, those in those offices, are supposed to represent a specific group of people in an area that they go and represent. And here they're all trying to represent everyone. And no wonder everyone's confused.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and there's a very good reason for it. It's because they don't want to keep the Filipinos out of the legislature. Is that it? That's what. Sure. No, I'm saying that's there are people that's their theory is that's you don't want to do something like that because Dededo is the largest village, predominantly Filipino population up there, et cetera, et cetera. That's as some people say. You can disagree with the point if you want to. 888-8255-888-TALK. But that was for a long time the theory. There was a time where the people were running in districts. We did have district voting, and what did we do that once? Something like that, one election where we did district voting, and I don't remember. Somebody will call and tell, and this is one of those Bob Klitsky tall tales kind of questions. Is what was the reason why they stopped doing that? There was something specific about it, but there and maybe I don't know. Tom will know. Tom's old enough. Tommy.
I just turned on the radio. I didn't know what you guys were talking about. I just want to ask you a quick question, my friend.
Yeah.
Do you ever find out who is supposed to be vetting those migrants that are supposed to come over here?
No.
Because remember the law says that they can travel to Guam, but being admitted to Guam, it's not an automatic admission. Once you travel to Guam, it's not automatic that you've been admitted into Guam. You'll be given 30 days to show proof that you can support yourself and your family, and then apply for admission into the United States. And if it's approved, you'll be admitted and you can stay permanently.
I'll tell you what. Let me find Eric Palacios. Everybody, it's a tough day to ask that question because everybody is at the Regis funeral. Everybody's at the state funeral, but there's a new guy. There's a new guy. See, Eric Palacios now is in charge over at Customs and Quarantine, and maybe I'll ask him that question because I'm sure the guys upstairs at Immigration they got other things to do and they're not checking everybody to make sure. Show me your admission paperwork from the University of Guam. Show me the thing that says you got a job.
Yeah, it's not right away, but whenever you guys get a chance, because we the people, sort of depend on you guys in the media. Because you guys have more pull, in government, whatever.
Oh, don't depend on me for serious stuff. I'm just playing. Hey, Tomas, real quick question. When it was in the 90s, wasn't it, that we did district-wide voting or district voting?
I never knew about that. I always assumed, maybe my assuming is wrong, but I always assumed that any candidate that is running for a legislature in one of the 15 seats in the legislature is really supposed to be working for the people of Guam in general, because we cannot have 4 senators coming from Zonia and represent. We cannot have 4 people representing Zonia and nobody from Dededo.
Right. So there was a district, and then you say, okay, based on the size of this district, this is how many people. This is their share of the 15 or 21 that would get into the legislature. But I can't.
Never knew that I never knew that they did that.
I want to say that we did it once because that used to be my joke. I was that my name is Ray Gibson. I'm running for District 9, and they stopped districts at 8. So that was how I kind of casting my way through it.
Yeah, that's the way Congress does it, but I never knew that Guam ever started that kind of system.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So you know what? You put me in the odd position. Now I've got to find somebody even older than you. Hey, do me a favor. I know my dad's listening, so say hello to Bill Gibson. Right. Say hello to Bill.
Buddy. Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon, Migo.
Okay, bye.
888-8255 is the phone number here. Brad writes in. He says, well, it might make for good radio, but absolutely nonsense for accomplishments. And my response to you, my friend Brad, is what's the difference? Can I say that like Hillary? What difference does it make? Just what difference does it make now? Accomplishments. And so there's a part of me who wanted to go. You can go on the Committee on Rules and get their issues session update for May 1, 2018, and it will show you all of the measures that were voted on over at the legislature and all of the people that were stuck on boards and all of that stuff. And I want you to look through all of these and think about how many of these bills are going to be relevant to anybody in another couple of months, in another couple of years. In another decade, in another generation, is the thing. So there. Late 70s, early 80s district voting, lumped MTM and Agana Adelup to match Dady-Do back in those days. Yeah, just kind of, like I said, somebody will know. Baby sister Rebecca Gibson-Kyler is online. So is Danny Ting Fong. Let me scroll up here. Lynn Vince. Sonny Cruz. Sonny Cruz, who's been watching out for me for a long, long time. I see Lynn Heinzen Perez has joined the crowd. Ken LaGuetnia is chiming in. James Howard, and I gotta give kudos to James. I think he's going to win here. Earlier, I was talking about, for purposes of diversity in the Republican primary election, coming up with another team to compete against Ray and Tony, the Bota team, right? And so my suggestion is Troy Torres and Derek Hills Baza. No, Derek Baza Hills. Right, and I don't. It doesn't matter to me which one is going to be the governor, which going to be the lieutenant governor. I guess Troy and Derek running under the Republican banner, if for no other reason, just to give Ray some competition going into the primary, and assure that he gets the required minimum number of votes to go ahead. I think you've got to have a percentage in order to move forward from the general to the primary, even if you're running unopposed in the deal. So that's my idea. So I've asked for people on the Facebook to come back to me with some slogans. And for Hill Torres, James actually almost wrote a commercial, right?
Nice.
Almost wrote the commercial. Hill Torres, honesty, integrity, accountability. Say no to corruption. Say yes, because we said so. My name is Troy Torres, and I approve this message unless things turn sour. And then, yeah, you know what? It was Derek. What do you say?
That's very nice.
Right? Thanks, James. Appreciate it. Hey, you know what? That or a version of it might show up on Guam Blog a little bit later on. So I'm just saying. Ishmael Velez says 21 senators would bring in a wide range of diversity, different education levels, different range of skills, different range of experiences, real people for the real people. And then like I said, part-time legislature so we can control the costs. Anybody can introduce anything, and eventually the committees would get together and say, of the 200 bills that were introduced into this body in the year 2020 or 2021, these are the 20 that we're going to bring to the floor on the day that we show up for the vote. And you would think that by virtue of the fact that everything had been vetted for legality to form as to function by the real full-time people at the legislature, the body of 21 yahoos would have a narrow number of bills to work on. And then the other part of it is because they're not there every day, they're going to be less reactive to headlines, to things that people generally get reactionary for. As Carlo Branch will tell you, the job of the legislature is to move slowly, soberly. It is the job of the administration to deal with not emotions, but emergencies and urgent issues. That's the way that's supposed to work. So we don't technically want the legislature working on things too quickly. Now, I've just said that. The words just popped out of my mouth. And stand by for the contradiction. So here's the legislative calendar for today. Today, they have, as I said, the state funeral this morning for Eddie Regis, late Honorable Eddie Regis, former lieutenant governor. And then later on, we go into public hearing stuff between 1 and 5 today. And this is going to be stuff you're going to want to watch, guys. And watch it for me and take copious notes and then send it to me on the WhatsApp. Because you know how I am. I'm lazy when it comes to this stuff. I got appointments. I got meetings. I got work. They're going to be chewing on Senator Regine Bisco-Lee's bill to provide for basic needs to be exempted from the general sales tax. It is her Working Families Relief Act. And it's not too far off. Just a shorter, more compact version, if you will, of the measure that was introduced by Senator Estevez, which would outline, highlight, and identify certain goods that you can find in a grocery store and other places on Guam that would be, again, exempted from the general sales tax. And then.
But if you exempt everything, what's the point of having a sales tax? Because it generates no revenue at that point.
The government of Guam doesn't need to generate revenue on every transaction. And the examples, as I have pointed out, for example, would be medicines.
Right.
Right? Because you get sick, Why does the government need to be in a position where it's making additional revenue on your sickness, on whatever this chronic ailment is? Right. So I say take that and make permanent tax holiday on that. Sure. And then we've got groceries. You have to eat. There are many places where the government says, you know what, we're just not going to tax groceries. You know, a product that you find at the gas station that's already been prepared, we're going to charge you a tax on that because a service has been added to that. Right. But if we're just talking about going in there and getting milk and eggs and cheese and all the things that you need to make dinner for your family, again, that's a place where I don't think the government needs to make any money on. Right. And there are people that agree with me. Cosmetics, or not cosmetics, but what do you want? Things of gynecological or control needs. You know, you got aging parents; they need Depends underwear. So in addition to adding to that indignity of having to be a senior citizen wearing diapers, they want to tax you on that. I say the government doesn't need to be a part of what your biological needs are, right? So let's you know, and then there's the other side of this, and it also goes towards, in my mind, some of the things that the government should already be providing for by virtue of the fact that they've taken on the job of education. So when the government comes to you, when first day of school, every year we go through this. Every single year we go through this process where mom has to go to the store and buy filler paper and binders and protractors and rulers and pens and pencils, right? Because this is your kids. That's what you do, right? So I want a permanent tax holiday on that. But every once in a while, not every once in a while, every year you get the list from the school of stuff you need to bring in. You need to bring in Xerox paper. You need to bring in toilet paper. You need to bring in handy wipes. You need to bring in X number of not Sharpie pens, but dry erase marker pens or whatever, because the government isn't buying that for the classrooms. They should, but they're not. And so they say, well, you know, we'd like to be able to continue to provide this level of education for your kids, and we'd like you to buy them for us. And we'll dispatch them in our classroom the way we need. And I'm going, no, that's something that you should already have. I didn't have to pay for the mimeograph paper. I didn't have to, in the beginnings of my lifetime, back when we were still, you know, did things that make sense. You know, when I went to school, we got a test on mimeograph paper. But I didn't have to go to, you know, National Office Supply and buy a roll of mimeograph paper. It was part of the process. And it's not anymore. It's not. And so they've changed it so that there are these expenses that the public school system now has transferred to the parents, and they shouldn't have to pay a tax on that. And then when the school comes back and says, okay, you know what, Mikey has everything he needs. He's got all of his school supplies. He's got our school supplies. He needs a uniform. Right. Guess what? guess what you pay taxes on, right? Uniform, because the school wants you to wear a uniform. Do you need to wear a uniform? Is it a requirement? Will you get a better education because you have a uniform? No. Does it help you absorb the facts that the teacher is presenting? The one with the hickey? You know which one I'm talking about?
That one, yes.
Exactly. Absolutely. So I'm just saying, for all of those things that the government demands, or that biology demands, or that gynecology demands, or that whatever demands, I think there are places where we ought to say, but we're not going to pay a tax on that. We're not going to charge a tax on that. And then finally, legislative calendar for today, an act to amend, wait, this is the one, to repeal 1, 3, 4, 16, 17, and 18, and amendment number 2 of all public law 34-87. This one would reveal the imposition of a general sales tax period on Guam, and that's the one that my friend Mike, they're all my friends, but Mike Sinicolas has introduced that on the very day that they voted to put the increase in the BPT and the 2% sales tax in there. He says no, there'll be a public hearing on it today. It's 9:30. Half a Joe.
Mr. Ray,
dude,
you got me tempted there to answer about the uniforms. It's my understanding it had to do with clashes socially at the school. People, you know, some students would dress better than others. And then for a while, was it in the 90s? They were taking.
Who cares? Hey, guess what? You know what? There's always going to be people that are better off, and if they want to dress in nice clothes, and it makes the people that can't afford the nice clothes feel bad, you know what? Too bad. It's not. This is not where we do social engineering.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get you. Well, but what I really called about was, man, did you read that thing on? I saw it on the internet back in March. The Chinese explorers around Challenger Deep, the Marianas Trench.
Oh, you know why? Somebody dropped something from one of the ships, and so they're going down looking for it.
I was wondering, is this part of the negotiation tactics of President Trump that, he scratches their back, they scratch his dealing with the North Korea? I don't know what's going on, but it's making me curious because it makes you wonder who is in charge of Challenger Deep because Mr. Knight there was saying that he thought it was inside the National Maritime.
It is, yeah, it
but
is.
I read on Wikipedia that it's just outside of it.
Well, why would they call it the Marianas Trench, whatever zone, if the Challenger Deep, which is the deepest, darkest spot at the very bottom of the Marianas Trench, why would they do that?
If someone could clarify, am I reading it wrong, or if someone has a different answer other than it has to be inside the monument, then please let us know.
I had not even pondered it. I think it's up. I think it's somebody up in Saipan that administers that, isn't it?
You're joking, right?
No, I'm serious. I want to say that I don't know. You know what? That's a phone call if we have time. We'll see if we can get a hold of Manny Duenas because he was there. He was there in the beginning of all of that.
Thanks for your time, Ray.
No problem. I'll talk to you pretty soon. 9:32. Like I said, Manny would know because I remember it was Manny that I talked to when they first started that, and I think there was some kind of controversy because there was the conversation was taking place up in Saipan and not here, and the fishermen got all in a twist about it. They were looking for the cocaine. Eric says they were looking for the cocaine they dropped off the boat. That's why they're milling around the Challenger Deep area. Thank you so much. See, I have no skill at this. I suck at this. The real brain power, the real humor guys are on the Facebook Live. And if you're not there, you are missing out on half of the conversation. And frankly, some days it's the better half of the conversation because I'm up here, flapping my gums, and these guys are online. And they're doing all of the serious, semi-serious, somewhat maybe if you look at it funny, serious stuff on the website. We did one sound effect. I'll give you another. It's 9:33. That's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect and their incredible push-to-talk and mobile plans.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in the settlement process.
Man, I feel like everybody's filed a suit against the Archdiocese on this. I just wonder if I should too.
Yeah, I didn't get around to it myself, but I wasn't here.
I used to wear a cassock. I wonder if there's possible that there was a priest that was trying to look up my cassock when I was...
I hate when that happens.
Avocado is in at Wendy's. Try the new Southwest Avocado Spicy Chicken Sandwich. Friends, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. Anybody can make a spicy chicken sandwich. It's not that hard. Some salt and pepper and some, some chili powder or something like that, and you bread it up on a chicken. Anybody can do that. All right? But at the guys at Wendy's, They've taken this up to a whole other level. It starts with the spicy chicken. Kick it up with pepper jack cheese. We could stop there, but Wendy's doesn't stop there. Cool it down with some Southwest Ranch and then Applewood bacon. They bacon the chicken sandwich, huh? Who does that? Nobody does it. Wendy's. And then, remember the name of it is Southwest Avocado Spicy Chicken Sandwich. Then they coat the top of it with this creamy avocado. And if you're not taking your carbs in sandwiches, then you can have it on a salad as well, the Southwest Avocado Salad. Have it, but for a limited time, guys. So stop by the nearest Wendy's and try one today. Wendy's, now that's better.
GTA's best internet deal has arrived. With fiber internet, you get up to 50 megabits of data per second for only $50 per month. And if that's not enough, Fiber Internet 50 plan includes free Wi-Fi. But this offer will only last through the month of May. So sign up today and get ready for faster downloads, more streaming, a better gaming experience, and a stable connection across multiple devices. Conditions may apply. Visit gta.net for more details. GTA, your island, your network.
Some of the music that we play on this program is designed to bring you back to the 1970s. So this like 1970s Gibson's department store music, right? Did I tell you I have, this won't make a lot of sense to people outside the broadcast industry, but I have access to one of these production libraries. That's where the music, when you hear the commercials and there's music behind them, those are specifically licensed pieces of music that were written specifically for radio commercials. And I've got one that goes back, is actually from the 1970s.
Nice.
And it was, at the time, it was the best one that you can get. And it's all stuff like that.
Nice.
Right?
Yep. Good stuff.
And so we're going to break that out.
Sweet.
Yep. One of these days we'll break that all out. So what have I gone over here today? Give me a second here, because I get 22 minutes away from the top of the hour here, and I want to make sure that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover today, including this one here. For those of you that weren't listening early in the morning, great, because then I can do the joke again and it'll be fresh. I'd like you to prepare, if you will, a statement. For example. Wait a second. Do I have it there? Crap, I gotta look. Wait, hold it. Don't mind me. I'm prepared for my show today. Not that one. Oh, here it is. Statements. If anything happens to me, if I do something that brings shame to the radio station, my family, whatever, please have a statement ready for me. And I'd like you to do it, when I say you, I mean if you're the governor, if you're the lieutenant governor, if you're somebody that's running for a position, please have a statement ready so that when the media comes to you and they say, hey, what do you think of Ray Gibson? So you've got a statement standing by. Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio with his statement about Troy Torres. I'm really sorry. I really hope he makes it well, and pray for my friend. And then just take out where he says Troy and put my name. My friend Ray, because he's a great guy in responding to these allegations. There was another part of it was, he's talking about I'm going to continue to pray for him as he goes through this difficult time, right? Wow. So if you would, please have a statement like that ready for me so that when I get in trouble, you can read a statement like this to the press. While we are not aware of the full circumstances of his arrest, we respect due process and will let the matter take its course. We pray for him and his family in this difficult time. Could you, is there a more sincere thing to say?
There is not. There could not be.
Because here's the thing, you're not ever going to be able to say, he was the quiet one. Right. You'll never be able to reflect and ponder. He just kind of minded his own business and stayed in his own lane. Come and went, but otherwise, he was real quiet. I had no idea any of that might have been going on. The other side of the door, right? So those are, please, a statement. Have it standing by, because who knows? Maybe somebody from the media, Kevin Kerrigan, will come and find you and say, "Hey, did you hear about Ray Gibson?" And you want to have a statement all ready to go. Have I already said hello to everybody on the chat? I did earlier. So there's Doris, Cruz, Pangilinan, Hoffa Gal, see Eric Rosario, June Bells, Hoffa, Tony Rodriguez. Not that one. The other one is on the line. I already told you Brad was there, and Beck was there, and Danny Tiding-Fong, and Jeff Jones. And I said Lynn was on, Felix Rages, Eric Rosario, Tammy Godwin from Off Island. Got the Facebook Live going today, catching up on the Haps here on Guam. Karina Rose Farron is there, Brad and Richard. That's it? Oh, that's all I got. I can only see so far down. Okay, a little bit later on. But can I just say thanks very much? I really appreciate all of the folks that chime in on Facebook Live. And there's a number at the top right now. It says 21. And that shows you how many people are actually online right now. But the number, comes and goes. So there's all these different people. It might not always be the same 21 or 22 people at any given moment. But it really means a lot to I like it, if for no other reasons that, advertisers can look at it and say, oh, Jeff Jones is there. I want him to buy stuff at my store. Maybe if I put an ad in Ray's show, he'll come over and buy stuff at my store. It's Jeff Jones we're talking about. He might buy your store. He might. No, I'm serious. He might just come in and look around and go, we'll put this in the Triple J family.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Can I write a check for this? You want cash? Anyway, so there's that. There's that story. I already did that one. Millions in tax refunds coming out. Les Carlson called back a little while ago and wanted to make another point in response to something that Ken Leon Guerrero had said earlier in the program, and in fact something that I might have said as well, which was now that the, quote, fiscal crisis has concluded, is the government still working on some of the cost-cutting measures that they were talking about? If you remember, the happiness, the way forward that Eddie was talking about was an increase in the BPT. Still don't have the numbers on that. Might not see it until the May CRER report comes out. But he says that they're about to be seeing more money coming in as a result of just, numbers with April with the increase in the BPT, which I hate. And then the other one was the $30 million in reductions in expenses in the government of Guam. Or less allotments or whatever it was. Anyway, if you want details on exactly what the point was that he was trying to make, because I think Ken said that they weren't doing the cost-cutting measures, and Les said, yes, we are. He will illustrate those changes and those budget reactions. I think it's going to be Friday morning. I want to say 10 o'clock at the legislature. They're going to be going in for the budget. Transparency. Somebody talking about transparency on the thing. Pictures surface of Derek Baza Hills allegedly scamming a tourist. And he said he didn't do it. He said he didn't do it. And on Facebook, he said he didn't do it. And then when they arrested him, he said, no, I did it. I did it. I cannot tell a lie. Troy did it. But he says, no, yeah, that was me. And so I'm wondering if there will be additional charges because you lied on Facebook. You're not supposed to lie on Facebook. And you're not supposed, you know what, when I was growing up, if you said, oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't do my homework because Grandma's sick, you know what, Grandma would get sick for real. So, right?
Yeah, you bring
that's
that
a karmic
mojo,
thing.
man. Yeah.
It's a karmic thing. You don't do that. So, he's lying to get out of trouble and trying to, fluff himself up on Facebook and says, no, it couldn't have been me. It's all politics. These guys, just trying to stir up some crap about me. Couldn't have been me. Because I was taking care of a family member over at Guam Memorial Hospital.
Yeah, because, there's no way they could ever check that.
Yeah, and so my thing is, if you do that, then somebody in the family is going to get sick, and then you're going to be in jail, and you're not going to be able to go take care of them. Sorry, it's karma, and karma has an interesting way of kicking somebody's butt. Usually, you have to wait around to get that. Normally, somebody really does something awful to you. You have to wait around for a while before you see karma turn back around.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's worth the wait.
Yeah, but in other cases, sometimes, it comes bang, just like a boomerang, smack you in the head. 9:44 in the morning, and I still have this in my pile of notes about DOC to seek funding for the K-9 unit. Are they still going to do that now that Katie's not there anymore?
I think so.
You know what? I'm wondering, maybe KGTF needs a K-9 unit. If I can't, because I think this was one of her ideas, because they got all this contraband that's going into the Department of Corrections these days, and we don't have any money to hire any more humans, but we've got money apparently, or can find some dough where we could bring in a K-9 unit. So instead of people, we would have dogs, and I guess the idea is the dogs are free. They eat, and somebody has to take care of them. So, yeah, I don't know. It must be that time. At the end of the show. I don't know why we are not able to get him early in the show, but my guess is he's busy, or some of the other guys catch him first. John Fernandez, the superintendent of the Guam Department of Education, and pretty soon their chief procurement officer. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Ray. Yeah, sorry I wasn't available earlier. We're just recovering from the shock of yesterday. So.
What? Were you shocked?
I was telling some of my colleagues, I said, I might be the only one who celebrated for about 1 minute and then realized, we got to get to work. So I'm really glad, and I want to congratulate the Simon Sanchez High School community for just continuing to rally for their own interests and again, they wanted us to take our best shot at this procurement, and that's what we're going to do. But it's a lot of work, and we welcome the responsibility because these are our stakeholders. Mm-hmm. But I think the congratulations really is for the school. They're looking for a glimmer of hope that something is going to happen to change the history of this procurement, and we're going to do our best with the help of everybody. I think the senators that were in our debate, I think after all of that discussion, we do have a stronger bill. Mm-hmm. And we do have the more tools and flexibility to hopefully free up, this issue and move forward.
Well, I'm very glad for you. It was the first thing I checked this morning when I was going over the paperwork that came out of the legislature yesterday. I should have been paying attention, but I was goofing off. So it was the first thing I looked at. How did we vote on 204? And then I saw that it was unanimous. And I thought there might be a couple of people holding out. I thought Therese Terlai might be among them. I think there was at least one other at the legislature that had some very serious reservations about moving forward. So I don't know where in the discussion it changed, or maybe it came to their turn to vote and they realized that if they voted the way they originally looked like they were going to vote, they would be the sole holdouts. And I don't think anybody wants that in an election year on a bill that was so otherwise universally accepted. So I thought I was very, very happy to see that move forward. And of course, the other thought that pops into my head is, John, piece of advice here, or peers, is be careful for what you wish for.
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. But on the other hand, I think the issue for me is we've seen the procurement get stuck. We're going to do our best to move forward, and I think we have some advantages that DPW did not have in its handling of the procurement. I mean, essentially. As we know, the director was not able to participate in the procurement because he had to recuse himself, understandably. We recognize that they did not have some of the tools that the legislature has since provided us in this bill. And, that DPW has other work that they're doing, other issues that they're facing, and other work with some of the vendors that are have issues of how DPW handled it. So that, to me, there's some bad blood there that I know that we don't have with those vendors. So we're going to just ask that we, get a chance to take this on, and we'll do our best for the students. That's what I told them. I said I'll give it my best because you guys asked us to.
Well, if we could move faster on unraveling the existing protests and some of the existing issues, then you can get to work on it even faster. But I know you, and I'm getting a more positive sense about the Department of Education. Not just because it's you running the DOE. I'm just really excited about the combination of you and Mark and the work that you guys have been able to do together for the Department of Education, for the teachers and for the students. And it just seems to me, with the kind of dedication and experience and energy that the both of you can provide to this project, I don't see it failing.
Well, like I said, someone asked me to take credit for the legislation. I said, no one's going to take credit until this building is done and complete and the school is open for students. Let's just get to work. So, the first thing I'm going to do once this is passed into law, we still want to make sure the governor is, supports it and signs it and gives us that authority. As my first plan of action is to send a letter, if I can. I want to check with my lawyers, of course, but I would just, request that all those who are competing, those who have been disappointed, those vendors have been disappointed with the protest, allow us to move forward. Consider giving us an opportunity to start this procurement anew under DOE's leadership. And we recognize all the issues that DPW had to deal with, but we're committed to getting the school done for our students. And we hope the entire community, including the vendors that are out there who would essentially be charged with this responsibility if they were to be successful, let's just get the school built. I mean, it's really been delayed too long, and that building is becoming unsafer by the day.
Well, they're not making any money as it stands right now, and so maybe that's the negotiating point that you make. You go to them and say, hey, listen, this is the deal. You're not doing anything right now. You're going to wait out this protest. In the meantime, there's an opportunity to start working with us right away. No guarantees that you're going to get the bid, but you got a better shot of being able to put some money into your bank accounts, get your guys to work, get your materials to a positive use if you come with me on this deal, as opposed to sitting around waiting for the OPA and DPW and the courts to chime in.
Right. So basically, taking the approach that I think we all want to get this school done. We need to get it done. We're all part of the same community. So let's hopefully put those differences aside that you might have had with DPW, and this goes for everybody who might have had those issues. And then let's give DOE a chance to move forward.
What's going to happen with the students? I mean, I don't know if you've thought that far ahead, but it's not like we've got too many satellite schools that we can take a giant population like you've got at Simon Sanchez and deposit them in another school while Sanchez is being worked on.
Well, the plan that that had been conceived of, even from the first procurement, was given the size of the property up at Simon, you do have the ability to build that school and keep the old structure in operation until such time as the construction is complete. The issue and it's a positive from the standpoint of constructing the school, but a negative in terms of the athletes at Simon Sanchez. There really isn't a field that they've been able to use, and so and some of that property around the school building. So there may be parts of that property where we could start the construction based on whatever design we end up with, and then the plan was to be able to move the students into that structure, when that was ready, and then be able to demolish whatever pieces needed to be demolished. Because we're going to be open to both renovation or new construction as we go along. We just need to figure out what's salvageable and what needs to be totally done away with.
I was going to say, I guess the nearest thing to a field on that is already inside the village, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, what they have at Simon Sanchez is just an open field, but a lot of potholes. I think they've used it for some prior pep rallies and bonfires, and there might be things that aren't safe there for the athletes. So it's not really in use, and they're basically borrowing, like you said, in the community or from other schools. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, after we construct the facility, it will have sports facilities. That's definitely a high priority for the school community.
So
but it's going to take some time.
I'll put in another request on behalf of students that have been in and through the school, and even adults, is you got to have buildings with windows in them. Can we just let's go back?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to have windows in it because your kids need to be able to daydream. Even it doesn't matter what the compelling stuff is from the front of the class. You got to be able to look out the window every once in a while and just indulge yourself in a daydream.
No, absolutely. We're going to make sure we address that in the design.
Yep. And a thought from a listener, great for Fernandez and DOE. Why DPW not have what they need to put this together all this time? And the point that has been made from among other listeners and others that DPW has got some trenches, if you will, that are filled with gasoline when it comes to procurement, and maybe now moving this to the Department of Education and then finding a body whose sole job is going to be to work through this procurement, working with Mark, working with John Fernandez, and might not necessarily have the blemishes in the relationships that DPW has with others. This is the way to go. Hey, listen, I'm going to let you run. It's always a delight talking with you, and I hope that you get over the shock later today and hit the ground running on this.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Ray.
No problem, John. Always a pleasure. 9:55. This is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point, and I will be right back after these terribly important messages.
Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Move into e-billing and reduce your carbon footprint while enjoying an easier, faster, and more secure way to receive and view your bills. No more paper clutter or waiting for the mail. Go green and sign up today by checking out DocomoPacific.com or calling 688-CARE. Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Docomo Pacific, better together.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fire to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Buenas and half a day, Guahu si Clara Menglotnya of Malolo. And this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanotmu, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
And the girl says, we need a Department of Procurement. We've got one, the GSA. Tenden Gibetnu is how we do that. Government store, as it were. So you need things. Yeah, that's where you go. I need to get toilet paper that is emblazoned with the words property of the government of Guam. And so you put the paperwork together, and then you call the people over at Tenden Gabetnu, and they go and find the people that will source this and bring it in for you. And hopefully they get it in at a good low price. And if the price is good enough, we just buy a whole bunch of this stuff, right? That's a whole lot of butt wiping going on. And the idea is, it says property of government of Guam. So this could not possibly show up anywhere outside of the government of Guam. It would be technically impossible for this roll of toilet paper to exist anywhere but inside a government of Guam agency. Now, I am kind of curious about something. Having now, with evidence on the video, right, shown that I have got a roll of toilet paper that has clearly been taken outside of the government of Guam. Am I in trouble now? Is there somebody?
You can claim the Hill's defense. You don't actually have a roll of toilet paper. It's a figment of everyone's imagination.
That's right. I don't know what you're talking about. Or no, wait, this is my other one. It's my ex-boyfriend's. It's my ex-boyfriend's toilet paper, right? So, so there we are, 9:57, and just a little bit of small talk before I'm all done with the program. I got a note from my friend Elaine Kwok from the Guam Running Club, and she wants to know if I could spend some time on the radio talking about one of the next big running club races coming up. It's a 13.8-mile run, May the 26th. It's 4:30 in the morning. So this is the way it works. Front gate of Anderson Air Force Base, and then I'm going to say downhill towards the Paseo, 13.8 miles. And again, starts at 4:30. You might want to have somebody drop you off and then, you know, or pick you up, one or the other, so you can go back to your car is the way that works. But it is one of my favorite races, a little bit more than a half marathon, just a hair over a half marathon. And I will say that it is mostly downhill. When I say that, I'm lying. That is an bold, ugly lie, because you get down there and then you're moving through Jigo, and there's places where there's uphills in Jigo. You know, before you get to Wustig, there's a nice big rise that you got to get through, and there's a couple of other places even before that you got to get through.
But you are correct. Paseo is at a lower elevation than the starting point.
Yep. So you are technically running downhill. It won't always be downhill. So I don't want you to build that into your running plan. Go a little bit faster, and but save some in the tank for the one or two hills that you're going to get. Now once you're in Dededo, once you get to Waisangsong, straight shot, babe.
Do you think anybody would run it and then run it back for the full marathon effect?
Yeah. Who's the guy? Berdalio. Rodney Berdalio.
Oh, okay.
He is capable of doing things like that. What I may do this time, just because I'm contemplating a transportation issue, I might start at Paseo, run halfway up, and then finish going back to Paseo. I might do it that way.
Oh, okay.
That way my car is in the same place. I technically won't be in the race, but if I start at the same time as everybody else does, and turn right around where I would anticipate being at my halfway, then maybe it can count, at least in my head. For 13.8 is 13.8, where they're going uphill, downhill, backwards.
Well, I'll be
forwards.
in my usual spot on the sidewalk cheering you with a beer.
I appreciate that. Look at the time. What? 10 o'clock already? I'm telling you guys, if I had 21 people in the legislature and I had a couple of weird oddballs, I could do 5 hours of this program, Get me Moylan back in the Attorney General's office. 5-hour Ray Gibson shows. You couldn't handle that, could you? Anyway, look, got to go. KUSG, Hagåtña, and that is the call letters for the radio station. That's our bank name with the Federal Communications Commission. You can just call us The Point at 93.3. Fox News Live is coming up next, and then there's Brian Kilmeade, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and plenty more. Don't move.
Angry reaction. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The question Special Counsel Robert Mueller has for President Trump about the Russia investigation now public, and the president making his feelings known on social media.
Following the leak, the president tweeting so disgraceful that the questions concerning the Russian witch hunt were leaked to the media. No questions on collusion. He continued, "Oh, I see. You have made up a phony crime collusion that never existed, and an investigation begun with